Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Man writes a diary in Shinigami, Rukia's wife collapses. Chapter 41. Why? Thinking of Sui Feng's attitude of, children make choices, I want them all, Yoruichi sighed again. If it is said that they are all married to one man, then Yoruichi has nothing to worry about. The problem is that she agreed to the agreement, but when she agreed before, she was thinking of a temporary delay. Because Yoruichi didn't want to give up the Sui Feng relationship. Moreover, Sui Feng only had a good impression of Shiraki at the time, and then he was sick and delicate, and he was doing things with an urge to die together. But now that the Points Mall is released, Yoruichi feels that he is going to make a fake show and do it for real. It's just that Yoruichi thought about it again, and felt that his thinking had entered a misunderstanding. The question now is, what if the fake show is real? They have known for a long time that the Traversers have miraculous powers, and the present Point Mall is only a confirmation once again. No matter in terms of appearance, strength, potential, or even peculiarity, Shiraki is an acceptable choice. There is even a diary, and they know everything about it. Well, she's single, and so is Shiraki, isn't that a coincidence? In this world, there are many captains, but there is only one traveler, and things are rare and precious. Yoruichi's thoughts gradually changed. So, I still have to get in touch with Sui Feng. Get in touch with the next thing. But before that, Yoruichi called out the diary again, and looked at the enhancement option. She has a lot of points, even a 20-point enhancement is easy. Therefore, Yoruichi resolutely chose the Reiatsu enhancement for 20 points once, and the spiritual body enhancement. Feeling warm and tingling, Yoruichi was shocked to feel that his slow body and Reiatsu had been improving for nearly 100 years, and once again surpassed the limit. Even, an unstoppable powerful aura burst out from Yoruichi's satin-like brown skin. Boom! Yoruichi disappeared in an instant and reappeared, hitting the empty ground with a tomahawk strike. Immediately, a powerful force burst out, and a big pit with a diameter of 5 meters was punched out by Yoruichi with pure physical strength. Oh my god! Looking at the big hole, Yoruichi was shocked. You know, this is just her current pure physical strength. Seeing that the Point Mall has changed from 20 points once to 30 points once, Yoruichi's eyes became frenzied. It seems that she has to contact Sui Feng as soon as possible to start action. And the present Urahara Kazuki. Will Yoruichi's actions disrupt his plans? Yoruichi doesn't want to think about these issues now. After all, they are just friends, not a concentric couple, and there is no problem of infringing on each other's interests. Since in Shiraki's description, the final Aizen also got Hogyoku, which means their plan failed, so why care? Through the dating communication function of the diary, worked by Yoruichi's part, she has been entrusted to Shiba Kongzuru. As for now Yoruichi just wants to become stronger. Yoruichi looked at another option in the Point Mall besides Spirit Body and Reiatsu enhancement. That option is called Perfect Hollow, and the price is 100 points. It just so happened that this was a price she could reach. After experiencing the double evolution of Reiatsu's Spirit Body, Yoruichi locked the Perfect Hollow. In the nest of maggots out of everyone's eyes, Yoruichi is undergoing a metamorphosis like a butterfly. However, at this moment, there are still people working overtime. Team 10, the captain's room, looking at the many documents in front of them, Rengoku let out a miserable cry. Captain, when are you coming back? I can't live a day like this. Clutching his aching head from working overtime, Rengoku lay down on the table, and pillowed his head with his plump human heart. Feeling the soft touch like a cloud, Rengoku finally heaved a sigh of relief and relieved the fatigue from working overtime. Although it's only afternoon, it's still normal working hours, but who is she Rengoku? This is considered overtime for her. Woo, my izakaya, someone help me. Rengoku chirped. Since she was sent back by Shiraki and Sui Feng that day, I don't know what Sui Feng said in front of Toshiro. This time Toshiro's attitude is very tough and he asks Rengoku to work overtime to handle team affairs. If that's the case, that's fine, Rengoku can still slip away. The problem is that this time Toshiro draws the bottom line. Originally, when working at Rengoku, Toshiro would help, but this time the Toshiro people left directly, so that Rengoku could not run away. This directly led to Rengoku having no time to contact Shiraki after drinking that time. Hey, it's hard. Rengoku finally understood that he had to pay a price for being too rough. Forget it, take a break and see the update of Shiraki's diary. Rengoku opened Shiraki's diary. Then, the latest update of the Points Mall appeared in front of her. Rengoku's eyes lit up when he saw the functions of spiritual body strengthening, Reiatsu strengthening and so on. However, apart from this, what attracted Rengoku the most was not this, but targeted spiritual body potential repair, 50 points for newcomers once. Targeted spiritual body potential repair, what can I repair? Wait, could it be? Rengoku suddenly thought of something. As that, Rengoku's expression became complicated. Why is she so addicted to drinking and having fun? On the one hand, it is heartbreaking, and on the other hand, it is true that Rengoku felt that his strength has reached a bottleneck, especially Reiatsu, who has reached the vice-captain level and will never move again. It's very strange, she is still in the growth stage, logically speaking, she shouldn't encounter a bottleneck. Originally Rengoku didn't know why, but now she knows, it was Aizen who took something from her. But the question is, can this be repaired? It only takes 50 points. And my points. Rengoku looked at the points balance. She appeared in the photo 3 times and her name 13 times, so the total points balance is 43. In other words, is it still 7 points away? Rengoku's expression became hot. It seems that it is impossible not to approach him. HMPH, when it comes to the charm of women, I won't lose. But, finding a standing mirror, Rengoku looked at herself in the mirror, and the most conspicuous thing on her body was a white and big deep ravine. This is not acceptable. Rengoku made a judgment. She understands men. A man is a very possessive and contradictory creature, like he wants you to be glamorous, but also wants you to be frivolous and vulgar. But being glamorous is in front of others, while being frivolous and vulgar is under him. In the past Rengoku, there was frivolity, but there was not enough coolness. Then, the neckline should be tightened. And this ribbon, maybe hold it up. Recalling the chest strap that he saw in this world, Rengoku began to adjust his clothes to prepare for the next contact. And just like Unohana Retsu, whose strength has been raised to the limit, the diary gives the enhanced temptation of fracture price. Facing the flawed Rengoku, the diary gives the option to make up for the flaw. The diary of watching people order food also caused waves in the 8th team. Well, can this kind of thing really be done? Aizen Nanao looked at the points mall, which was named Eliminate the Aizen Family Curse, 100 points. And, the option of Get Zanpakuto, 30 points, fell silent. Yes, Aizen Nanao does not have Zanpakuto. On the one hand, it is her own shortcomings. If Rukia Kido is better, she is a partial Shinigami, then Aizen Nanao is completely without the talent of Zanpakuto. In addition, Aizen Nanao was also born in the family of priests who were in charge of sacrifices, and she was tasked with guarding the divine sword, the 8-mirror sword, which is the Zanpakuto that they have passed down from generation to generation. Since there are Zanpakuto inherited from generation to generation, it is reasonable to not have Zanpakuto itself. However, the problem of Zanpakuto is actually a trivial matter compared to the previous problem. Because, there is a curse in the Aizen family, that is, the men of the Aizen family do not live long. As a matrilineal clan, the Aizen family will only recruit men who are married. However, every man who joins the Aizen family will die young because of this curse, and the same is true for Aizen Nanao's father. This matter has always been Aizen Nanao's hard knot. She wants to break the curse of the Aizen family, and even fears the curse of the Aizen family. But she didn't expect that the straightforward option was in front of her right now. Nanao's eyes glanced at her points balance, as there only 1 point. It's too rare. Aizen Nanao smiled wryly. It seems that I am really unattractive. The cursed Aizen family doesn't even dare to approach the Traverser. No, when did I have the illusion that the Traverser is very courageous? Or, it's because he is a time traveler that he wouldn't choose to approach him. Nanao's eyes rubbed her temples with a headache. She is still a little confident in her beauty, and the lady with glasses, the secretary, is alluring wherever she puts it, but if the other party is not interested in her, it will be difficult. But all in all, find a chance and try it first. Aizen Nanao made a decision, going home to prepare something. For the sake of the family and for her, facing the possibility of breaking the curse, Nanao has no possibility of rejecting it. However, Aiz Naneo didn't know that at this moment, many people had made the same choice as her. West Rukongai, the Shiba house held a plaque by two giant gold arms. Seeing the regeneration of severed limbs in the Points Mall, Shiba Kong raised his eyebrows. Team 12, humming a melodious tune, Nianmang, who was tidying up the room, looked at the option called, completely transform into a normal human soul, showing long. In this world, the masked army is stationed. Yadomaru Lisa, who finished a day of training, was just about to pick up the latest pornography for entertainment, when she saw the option called Eliminate Hollows Out of Control Factor, Hollow Without Trace. Quietly, the precious Wangman in Yadomaru Lisa's hand was squeezed into a distorted appearance. Hollow is a powerful force for them Shinigami from 100 years ago, but if it is not for revenge against Aizen, they will never use this power. Because to someone who has spent their entire lives fighting Hollow, Hollow is an insult. But if Hollow's out of control factor can be subsided and completely traceless, Lisa still wants it. The action of Points Mall can be said to hit her vital point. Putting away the pinched Huang man, Lisa began to think seriously. However, the objects of the diary are not only the Soul Society in the present world. Haweko Mundo, in the desert outside the Night Palace. Nailu, who was playing Infinite Chase, stopped suddenly, and behind her, Peishui, Dong Chaka, and the big snake couldn't stop and rolled into a ball. But the two loyal subordinate officers, even under such circumstances, still managed to stop their out-of-control bodies, and did not affect Nailu in front of them. However, Nailu didn't care about everything that followed, because this was a very common thing in daily life. She just looked at the diary that appeared again in front of her in doubt. Little Nailu, whose mind has returned to her childhood, can't read the diary, she can only look at the pictures for novelty. After trying to reveal it to Dong Chaka and Peishui but failed, she doesn't care about the diary anymore. But today, the news of Points Mall suddenly appeared in front of her. Newcomer Special, exclusive to Nelly L2 Odelschwenk, you can loan 100 points to repair the broken mask and restore strength. Nelly L2 Odelschwenk, who is it? Loan, broken, restored, Nailu can't understand. Looking at the options in the Points Mall, Xiao Nailu was very puzzled. However, under a certain intuition, she felt that she should click on this option. Not only for the loyal two subordinate officials, but also for herself. Under the light of the diary, from an angle invisible to others, Xiao Nailu's childish eyes gradually showed a hint of maturity. Looking at the diary, Nailu firmly clicked on it. A burst of bright green light envelops Nailu. In an instant, the shattering of Nailu's antelope mask gradually made up for it as if going back in time, and the young girl's body wrapped in a green rag gradually became exquisite, and could even be called explosive. Under the shocked gazes of Don Deshaka and Pexel, the Antelope Knight, Nelly L2 Odelschwenk, returns to the world. Neely, Alu-sama, God bless you, you have recovered. Seeing Nailu, who was as firm and awe-inspiring as ever, Dong Chaka and Peishui knelt down tremblingly, their tears of excitement were like opening a faucet. It's not considered God's blessing. Forget it, you can be blessed by God on the spot. Nailu temporarily changed her words and concealed what she had paid for it. There are some things that Xiao Nailu doesn't understand, but she does understand, but there is no need to tell Dong Chaka and Peishui about it. The two of them had done a good enough job. Strictly speaking, what happened between Don Chaka and Pexel was also her fault. Don't worry, Dong Chaka and Peishui, they will all get better in the future. Nailu comforted with a smile. Then she looked at the interface of the diary. I thought, since you can loan me 100 points, why not lend me more? I am a knight who keeps my promise. All requests will be returned in full. No matter what arrangement, I can accept it. Nailu's words were decisive. Not long after, Nailu, who changed into new clothes, and her aura was 3 points stronger than before, took Dong Chaka and Peishui, who had been recovered by the diary, to the Zai Palace. But at the same time, it was different from Nailu, who easily borrowed an unknown number of points. In Zai Palace, Hao Li Bell, who couldn't make up a house with her 3 subordinates, is in a faint pain. Begalu, is this diary playing with us? In the third Espada's room, the grumpy Apache with pink blue eyes smashed angrily on the table. Hey, Mira Rhodes, who looked like an Amazon warrior, snorted coldly as she looked at the arguing Apache, and mocked. Apache, if anger can solve problems, what's the use of brains? Her words also angered Apache instantly. What are you talking about? Do you think you are very smart? Apache waved his fist angrily, and the heavy iron ring on his wrist made the sound of howling wind in the air. Hee. Looking at the two companions in front of him who were not speculative as usual, with long hair reaching their waists, a slender figure, and 3 tear moles under his right eye, the grandson of the snake lady covered her mouth with her long sleeve and said sullenly, "Stop arguing, it's useless for you to quarrel like this." As he said that, Sun changed his words. "Why don't you go out and fight? As long as a few people die here today, it will be fine." And listening to her grandson's words, before Apache could say anything, Mira Rhodes, who looked calm but was actually easily irritated, was upset. "Son and grandson, do you want to listen to what you are saying? We are the subordinates of Lord Helly Bell, and we fought to death. Where does this put the face of Lord Helly Bell? Hee. Then would you like to listen to what you are talking about? Is it interesting to quarrel every time? You." Facing her grandson's words, Mira Rhodes didn't know what to say for a while. Then, the flames of anger flared up. "Asshole, grandson, I must teach you a lesson today." Mira Rhodes walked forward. But this time, it was Apache who stopped her instead. "Roz, forget it. This can be regarded as the daily operation of the trio. In other words, under the seemingly tit-for-tat appearance, it is also a manifestation of their friendship." In the past, Holly Bell just smiled when she saw such a scene, but today, seeing the noisy 3 people, Holly Bell said coldly, "Enough, be quiet." "Yes, Mrs. Holly Bell." When Holly Bell spoke out, the 3 of them quickly quieted down, as if the previous noise did not exist. Actually, there really isn't, they just want to keep Holly Bell happy. Holly Bell herself knew about this. Just looking at the diary, this strange object that appeared not long ago, Holly Bell was very worried. Her philosophy is, "I don't want to use the power gained by killing others to make myself stronger. If you pursue sacrifice, you must pay the price of sacrifice." Therefore, Helly Bell never devoured Shu, nor killed Shu, she just wandered in Hueco Mundo with her grandson and grandson. It's a pity that Hueco Mundo's environment is the law of the jungle. You don't kill the ghost, but someone will always come to kill you. Just like Nailu was backlashed because she missed Neutra many times, and Hewley Bell was also driven into a desperate situation by her former defeat. At that time, it was Aizen who saved her, so Holly Bell was very loyal to Aizen. After Nailu was attacked and driven out of the Void Knight Palace, Holly Bell took over the position of the third Espada. However, the sudden appearance of the diary does not seem to be friendly to Aizen, and even Holly Bell saw the scene where Aizen was killed once. This was enough to keep her from falling asleep in horror. Because it's hard for Holly Bell to imagine that with Aizen's strength, he could still be killed by someone. At that time, Holly Bell wanted to send a reminder to Aizen, but she couldn't disclose the existence of the diary, so Holly Bell stayed silent for a while, waiting for other information updates from the diary until today. Direct Reiatsu, spirit body strengthening. There's even. Holly Bell looked at her points mall. Inside, Reiatsu strengthens the spiritual body as usual and strengthens everything. But these are not the focus of her attention. The point is another option. Make up for the void. 1000 points. In Hueco Mundo, each void has a virtual hole, and the existence of the virtual hole represents the missing part of them. At the same time, it is also the thing that determines each virtual character. Ulquiorra's void is in his heart, so he has no feelings. Grimjow's void is in his stomach, so he is the never-satisfied, ever-hungry leopard king. And Holly Bell's empty hole, in the womb. So she can't have children, so she cherishes life and refuses to sacrifice, but she can let herself sacrifice. To a certain extent, the position of the void creates the void. So if it can fill the void, it's a bargain that Holly Bell can't refuse. She wanted to see what the whole of herself looked like. Even Holly Bell had a premonition that when the void was filled, she surpassed the levels of Jillian, Ejukas, and Vasto Lord. However, it would undoubtedly be a betrayal of Aizen to approach the time traveler named Shiraki. However, from the point enhancement option in the diary, it can be seen that the future belongs to Shiraki. Sun and others have a copy of the diary, which also shows that she is not independent. Whether to embrace the future or follow the present, that is the question. Holly Bell is torn. At the same time, Shiraki's diary did not mention them at all, which made Holly Bell a little upset. Don't we people have the slightest charm? As Aizen Sama's subordinates, we should not be strangers. Hey, Holly Bell frowned, lost in thought. And her resentment was well conveyed. The second team, the file room, Shiraki, who was waiting for Rukia to read the files, suddenly sneezed. Ah, Shiraki rubbed his nose. Who the hell is scolding me? Call me a man who will kill the whole family, and a woman who will be untouchable in the future. Shiraki cursed a few words. Then he looked in Rukia's direction. At this time, Rukia was still reading the information of Karakura town seriously. Shiraki was a little puzzled. Look at the information of Karakura town, how long has it been? I remember that there are not many materials that can be shown to her. Mumbling, Shiraki walked up and asked, Rukia, have you finished watching? Rukia, whose thoughts were interrupted, turned her head in a daze. Seeing Rukia like this, Shiraki can only ask again, have you finished watching? Oh, it's over, it's over. Rukia smiled awkwardly and returned the Karakura town information to Shiraki, even though she didn't remember anything. Because, Rukia didn't even look. From Shiba Kyan to Points Mall, Rukia has been thinking about other issues. After a short thought, Rukia suddenly said to Shiraki, Shiraki, I decided not to go to Karakura town. Listening to Rukia's words, Shiraki was stunned. No, what's the matter? Why doesn't Rukia go to Karakura town? No. Why? In the silent file room, looking at Rukia, Shiraki made the biggest question in his life. In the diary, intense emotions began to swipe the screen. Rukia suddenly told me not to go to this world. No, I am not Miss Lee. What is the reason? What factors caused Rukia not to go to Karakura town? If Yoruichi was my own poor hand, but here in Rukia, I didn't dare to move a single point. Even if it is a fanfiction, sometimes when the protagonist does something that affects the plot, there will be a historical inertia, and you will be forced to get it back. How come the process is not going away when it is my turn? What the hell am I? Shiraki choked speechlessly, with a hint of sadness on his face. However, Shiraki didn't know that, seeing him like this, Rukia became more determined. She doesn't care about the plot. Rukia also just thought of it, since she will trigger the plot when she goes to the present world, so it's fine if she doesn't go. And as soon as the Point Mall comes out, everyone is destined to move closer to Shiraki. If Rukia leaves Shiraki's sight, how can she become stronger? She has just realized the benefits of points. But these Shiraki are destined not to know. Shiraki eased the shock of hearing from Rukia that he would not go to this world, and after sorting out his emotions, he asked solemnly. Can you tell me why, Rukia? Because I broke through just now, I think it's better to stay in Soul Society and stabilize. Rukia explained the reason just thought of. Listening to Rukia's words, Shiraki felt it carefully. That's when he discovered that Reiatsu of Rukia broke through and became the vice captain. But he still didn't understand. But generally speaking, shouldn't you go through some battles after breaking through? In terms of fighting, I can experience it at home, and the quality is even higher than that of eliminating the void in this world. Rukia continued to explain. But this obviously couldn't dispel Shiraki's doubts. So, Rukia wants to ask Byakuya Kuchiki to help her train. But at this time, Byakuya Kuchiki hasn't told Rukia about her elder sister Feijun, so the relationship between siblings hasn't eased yet, right? Why do I always feel like I'm being played by someone else? Something seems to be happening in this Shinigami world that I don't know about, but for a while I don't know what's going on. Shiraki subconsciously wrote down his doubts in his diary. This is also a method he likes recently. People's ideas are time-sensitive and may be forgotten over time. But ideas will be forgotten over time, but bad pens will not. Write your ideas directly in the diary, not only write the diary, but also sort out the ideas, the best of both worlds. And looking at Shiraki's diary from time to time, Rukia's heart froze. She knew that Shiraki had already noticed something was wrong because of her abnormal behavior, but it couldn't be done like this. Rukia wondered what would happen when Shiraki realized they could read the diary. But if Shiraki knows that they need Shiraki's diary, then the status of the two parties is exchanged. Because at that time the points will be issued according to Shiraki's ideas, and they may be restricted by it. Rukia quickly made a remedy, and Shiraki stared at Rukia's pure purple eyes, wanting to investigate seriously. Under Shiraki's gaze, Rukia almost held her breath, and her heartbeat slowed down due to tension. But under great pressure, Rukia also showed the best acting skills in her life. Like a shy girl who was staring at her sweetheart, Rukia naturally turned her head away, and a blush appeared on her fair cheeks just right. The perfect angle also showed Shiraki her perfect profile, small ears, snow-white slender neck, and delicate collarbone. From this angle, even things below seemed to be able to peek a little. Shiraki stared blankly for a moment. Rukia's voice sounded just right. Also, I have work to do at Soul Society. Something. Shiraki picked up Rukia's words. It's just. Rukia lowered her head, looked at her toes, and felt more embarrassed. I feel that the 13th squad is not suitable for me. I've been in the 13th squad for so long and I'm still a member of the common squad. I don't even have many friends, so I want to change teams. With Rukia's perfect acting skills, Shiraki was really attracted by her new words, and continued to ask, which team do you want to transfer to? Rukia was silent for a while, then, like a little rabbit, she suddenly raised her head and glanced at Shiraki, then lowered her head again, and whispered, Second Division. Second team. Isn't this my place? Shiraki was startled. Why would Rukia want to transfer to him? Shiraki rubbed his head, a little puzzled. Of course, the reason Rukia said was reasonable. The problem is that it is the problem of Byakuya Kuchiki that she can't be the seat officer. The sister-in-law doesn't let her sister be promoted, otherwise the 13th division is the spiritual team, which is quite dangerous. As for having no friends, it's true, but Jashiro Yukitaki also takes good care of her. Shiraki struggled with Rukia's logic, thinking about the answer. At this time, Rukia, who felt that it was almost done, also raised her head, changed her shy look with her head down, looked at Shiraki, and asked charmingly. What, Shiraki, don't you welcome me? Or, the Shiraki vice captain is now so successful that he looks down on me, a former classmate. As he spoke, Rukia pouted slightly, with his hands behind his back, his petite body shaking slightly, as if he was a little dissatisfied. But whether it's her wandering eyes, slightly trembling voice, or even more flushed cheeks, it all shows that Rukia is holding on. I have to say that the current Rukia is full of kawaii. But Shiraki just took a random photo and continued to think. The question now is, what is Rukia holding on to? While thinking about it, an answer that Shiraki had never thought of in his heart gradually came to the surface. Rukia is not going to the present world, but wants to transfer to the second team. Can't it be because she likes me? This. Rukia, like me. Shiraki still couldn't believe it. But after thinking about Rukia's performance carefully, he became more and more sure of this idea. The only problem is, the old him was just nice to Rukia, but nothing special. Shiraki felt his thoughts blocked, and he was racking his brains to find a way out. However, Rukia, who didn't hear Shiraki's answer, continued to shoot. Rukia's watery eyes widened, her white teeth bit her lips lightly, revealing a charming little girl's demeanor, and asked in a crisp voice. Hey, you really don't welcome me, do you? Of course not. Seeing Rukia like this, Shiraki's heart softened half, and he flatly denied it. And his thinking just now was interrupted by Rukia. The question is, Captain Jashiro and Captain Kuchiki, will you agree to transfer? Shiraki asked again. Listening to Shiraki's question, Rukia showed an inexplicable look. They will agree. After some discussion, in Shiraki's farewell, Rukia left the second division. But Rukia went neither to Jashiro Yukitaki nor to Byakuya Kuchiki. After making sure that Shiraki didn't continue to watch her, Rukia circled around and came to the back of the second team, ready to sneak in over the wall. But at this moment, a cold voice came. If I were you, I wouldn't choose to do this. The second team, and even all the internal accommodations of the second team are covered by an enchantment. If you go in like this, you will be picked out by the second team members in a short time. The current second team has even shut down Shihu and Yoruichi, and it's okay to shut down the adopted daughter of the Kuchiki family. Hearing this, Rukia showed a smile, turned around, and called out the name of the figure. Captain Sui Feng, you have returned from the maggot's nest so soon. Yes, the person who caught the thief who wanted to infiltrate the second division at this moment is Sui Feng. Looking at Rukia, Sui Feng let out a cold snort. If you don't come back, my home will be stolen. Saying that, Sui Feng's pretty face turned serious, and the terrifying captain-level Reiatsu was released, and asked sharply. Rukia Kuchiki, you want to transfer to the second team, have you asked me? Hey, under the pressure of Sui Feng's Reiatsu, Rukia showed a look of discomfort. But her Reiatsu has just been promoted today, and Sui Feng's Reiatsu is also a weak one in the captain class, so she still maintains a calm look. So I'm here to ask Captain Sui Feng. HMPH. Looking at Rukia's appearance, Sui Feng frowned, but Reiatsu took it back. She also read the points update just now, but Sui Feng, who has been busy, has not had time to spend points to enhance it, and Rukia's appearance has obviously been enhanced, and Reiatsu can't control her anymore. What do you want to say? Sui Feng decided to listen to the speech of the heroine Rukia. Don't worry, let me try it first. Although everyone has guessed it, what should I do if I have an own goal? Rukia raised her hand and called out a diary. Seeing that Sui Feng was indifferent, and she didn't feel any discomfort, Rukia also identified Sui Feng's identity. At the same time, a reminder sounded in Rukia's mind. Sui Feng, the owner of the copy of the diary, proposed to add you as a friend, do you agree? Is there such a function? Rukia was a little surprised. I agree. Rukia and Sui Feng add friends. Sui Feng's news came. When talking about certain things, use this to communicate. In Jinglingting, Aizen's eyeliner is everywhere. It's better to use a diary to communicate safely. Okay. Rukia nodded in agreement. Sui Feng, you can start talking now. Rukia's expression became serious. To put it simply, I want to form an alliance with you, Captain Sui Feng. Alliance? Sui Feng asked back with unchanged expression. Why should I form an alliance with you? As for this question, Rukia has already had an idea, because of everyone. When the point mall appeared, and the person who got the most points every day could get a random reward, the relationship between everyone who owns the diary has changed. Our current relationship is both competition and cooperation. Competition, which means competing for Shiraki's attention, and cooperation, which means cooperating to hide something. But Shiraki can't be monopolized by one person. We have Soul Society here, Hueco Mundo outside Soul Society, and the present world. There will definitely be more and more women who will come to compete for his attention in the future. And let's not talk about the far ones, let's talk about Captain Unohana Retsu, Miss Rengaku, if they are also the owners of the diary, do you think we can beat them? Rukia's words made Sui Feng think. She first glanced at Rukia, who could see the toes at a glance, and then at herself, who could see the toes at a glance. Suddenly, Sui Feng's face turned dark. I have to say, compared with those milk cow stars, she and Rukia are petite, and they really lack a lot of feminine charm. In terms of temptation, it is still the most tempting, like Yoruichi. That day Sui Feng also saw it. Shiraki looked at Yoruichi with straight eyes. Sui Feng thought about Rukia's words seriously. You continue. Rukia nodded. So I want to form an alliance. Now Captain Sui Feng is the closest to Shiraki, but Captain Sui Feng is the captain after all. It is impossible to watch him all the time. You need someone who can watch him all the time, and I can be this person. If we can grasp Shiraki, the daily points and rewards can be distributed. Yeah, Rukia's words made Sui Feng nod. Here, she has roughly agreed with Rukia's words. It's just that I have one last question. Sui Feng's sharp and eagle eyes fixed on Rukia. According to the data, you are not like this. Everyone is a member of the Shinigami Women's Association. Is it necessary to fight so hard? Yes, Rukia gave an affirmative answer. And I don't want to have it all. It's impossible, I just want to have it often. Also, it's not that I fought so hard, but Rukia showed a determined smile. I have something to do. Whether it's against fate, or to avenge the former Vice Captain Kyan. Is that so? Looking at Rukia, Sui Feng was in a daze. At this moment, she seemed to see through Rukia, the self who made up her mind 100 years ago and worked hard. That is the awakening after a big change. Even the heroine, is there something she wants to do? Sui Feng was a little emotional. Okay, I agree, I will directly agree to your team transfer application. Sui Feng nodded to Rukia. Stars with big breasts like Rengoku and Unohana Retsu are indeed very threatening opponents. Rukia showed a happy smile. Thank you, Captain Sui Feng. The Poor Breast Alliance is hereby established. For the latter, they discussed in detail. It wasn't until late at night that Rukia returned to the Kuchiki mansion. And the moment she stepped into Kuchiki's house. Ding! Congratulations to Rukia Kuchiki for becoming the person with the highest points today. The daily rewards have been issued. Subsequent lottery draw. Congratulations to Rukia Kuchiki for gaining Zanpakuto's insights, Sanwu White Knife. A mysterious realization was slowly released in Rukia's mind. After a while, Rukia slowly opened his eyes with a feeling of ice and snow. Is this the system's reward? Rukia murmured with some shock. She will get a system reward today. Rukia is not surprising. Because of the big news she made today, when Rukia was chatting with Sui Feng, Shiraki kept writing about her in her diary. What shocked Rukia was the way the system gave insights. The knowledge released directly in the depths of the soul is as solid as she has trained herself. Moreover, although it is only a third dance skill, this skill also includes the knowledge of how to use it in various situations, and how to use it under what circumstances. It's not skills, it's just skills, and proficiency. It can be said to be very conscientious, and there is no sense of fooling at all. Amazing! Rukia exclaimed in a low voice. This is just a reward for one day, and it has greatly increased her combat power. She can't even imagine what will happen to Rukia if she can acquire such abilities every day. What happened with Shiraki must be taken seriously. Rukia did not know how many times she warned herself. Then, returned to reality from the improvement of strength. Looking around, Rukia walked towards her room. But before she could lift her footsteps, Rukia gave a sharp pause. Because at this moment, Byakuya Kuchiki is watching Rukia not far away. Brother! Rukia was taken aback, wondering why Byakuya Kuchiki, who had always lived a regular life, was here. And looking at Rukia, Byakuya Kuchiki's iceberg-like expression also revealed a slight surprise. I don't know if it's an illusion, but he always feels that Rukia seems to have changed a bit. But forget it, it's already very late now. He came out because he asked the housekeeper and learned that Rukia hadn't come back yet, and Rukia was going to die tomorrow. Now that Rukia is back, let her rest early. Don't come back so late at night. After admonishing Rukia, Byakuya Kuchiki was about to turn and leave. But at this time, Rukia stopped him instead. Brother, wait. Listening to Rukia's words, Byakuya Kuchiki turned around in surprise. It seems that Rukia has indeed changed, and he will take the initiative to stop him. Byakuya Kuchiki raised a little interest. What is it? Rukia's face turned pale. Brother, I want to turn down the worldly task tomorrow. Reject. Byakuya Kuchiki's expression changed on the spot. The most rule-abiding, he was sick of this behavior. If you don't want to go, isn't it good to say no in the first place? What's the point of quitting when you're about to leave? However, the person who said this to him was Rukia, who has always been very polite, so Byakuya Kuchiki was willing to listen again. Why? I want to stay in Soul Society because there are more important things. Rukia replied seriously. More important things. Byakuya Kuchiki frowned. What is it? Rukia was silent. She can't say that she wants to stay in the Soul Society to grab men, right? So silence, and only silence. Some things cannot be said to Byakuya Kuchiki. Seeing Rukia's silent but still resolute attitude, Byakuya Kuchiki understood. So, this is not a discussion, but an announcement. It's amazing that Byakuya Kuchiki didn't feel very angry when Rukia came up and told her what she was going to do, and even a little funny, because he didn't have any real feeling. Or rather, didn't respond. After waiting for a while, Byakuya Kuchiki's face turned completely cold. Rukia, you are naturally noble and obedient, so when you entered Kuchiki's house, I didn't control you too much. But now it seems that I was wrong. Rukia, what gave you the illusion that this would convince me to help you with your ridiculous behavior? Byakuya Kuchiki asked with a little exasperation. People can be stupid, but not stupid. The current Rukia looks somewhat stupid from the perspective of Byakuya Kuchiki. However, at this time, even in the face of Byakuya Kuchiki's anger, Rukia remained calm. Brother, I don't want you to help me cancel tomorrow's mission. This is my own business, and I will tell Captain Jashiro myself. What I really want is to transfer teams. I want to transfer from the 13th team to the 2nd team, the sooner the better. So I need you to add weight to my words and let Captain Jashiro know that I mean it. Listening to Rukia's words, seeing Rukia like this, Byakuya Kuchiki frowned deeply. What made Jashiro Yukitaki feel serious, he didn't know. But Rukia's serious attitude today, he has experienced it. Suddenly, Byakuya Kuchiki said, "Then, if I asked you why you transferred to the 2nd team, you wouldn't say it." Yes, Rukia nodded, but this one is different from the last one. I can say that I have already discussed with Captain Sui Feng. Have you negotiated with Captain Sui Feng? Byakuya Kuchiki was a little surprised. Rukia, if this is true, then I really want to give you a high look. Seeing that Byakuya Kuchiki's attitude seemed to be loosening, Rukia took a step forward and said while the iron was hot, "So, big brother, can you do me this favor?" However, in Rukia's expectant gaze, Byakuya Kuchiki let him down. No, Byakuya Kuchiki refused without hesitation. If you don't tell me the reason, then I will never agree. Is that so? Rukia was a little disappointed, but she quickly regained her composure, something she had expected. Then, stab. Amidst the sound of metal rubbing, and under Byakuya Kuchiki's shocked gaze, Rukia drew out the Zanpakuto. I have known for a long time, brother, you are not so easy to persuade. But brother, there are some things I really can't say, just like you are hiding the truth from me and my sister. The only thing I can do is to prove to you, to prove my determination. Rukia's words smelt of iron and fire. Looking at Rukia like this, Byakuya Kuchiki was really surprised. Byakuya Kuchiki got serious, and Rukia who showed such an attitude should be respected. However, Byakuya Kuchiki was not in a hurry to verify Rukia's determination. How much do you know about the true thing? I only know one name for now, and she is my sister, who is related to you. Rukia replied honestly. Is that so? Byakuya Kuchiki had a thoughtful gleam in his eyes. It seems that what happened today is also related to where Rukia learned about Feijun, and I can check it later. However, not now. Rukia, you have grown. Using a sword to prove it is indeed a good way. Now, use everything you have to prove it to me. Byakuya Kuchiki puts his hand on Senbon Sakura's hilt. And with Rukia's words, Ling dance, Soda no Shirayuki. A brother-sister exchange unfolds in the middle of the night. Nights at the Kuchiki's house were raucous as Soda no Shirayuki communicated with Senbon Sakura, two of Seoul Society's most beautiful Zanpakuto. But the noisy Kuchiki's house can't affect the quiet chief's villa of the 2nd Division. Maybe it was because of the intense brain activity yesterday. After writing the diary, Shiraki slept very soundly. Shiraki opened his eyes under the action of his biological clock when the sun rose 3 poles. And the moment he opened his eyes, ding, the host has awakened. Ding, yesterday's diary statistics start. Ding, the number of words in host's diary yesterday, 3,000. It is detected that the host has completed the task beyond normal, and the rewards for those who work hard will be activated. Currently, the factor of heaven's reward and diligence is 3. The draw of special enhancement cards begins. Drawing is complete. Congratulations to host for obtaining a special enhancement card, Spiritual Body *1. Special enhancement card, Keto *1. Special strengthening card, Cut Technique *1. Hey, are they actually 3 special enhancement cards? Looking at the strengthening card given by the diary, Shiraki sat up from the bed in some surprise. At the same time, another portion of Vice Captain Reiatsu was silently injected into the body, and the Reiatsu became thicker again, and the 3rd-class Lingwei slowly approached the 2nd-class Lingwei. The improvement in strength made Shiraki feel refreshed and in the best state of mind. The confusion of just waking up was cleared, and Shiraki quickly figured it out. The enhancement card he got for the first time can strengthen everything, especially the enhancement of perfect Hogyoku. It is too strong. Such an enhanced card should also be a type of precious in the rewards of the system. Shiraki can be drawn, either because of novice benefits, or because of great luck, but such enhanced cards obviously will not appear every time. Therefore, Shiraki can understand that the special enhancement card was drawn this time. However, Shiraki is also very satisfied with being able to obtain 3 special enhancement cards corresponding to Spirit Body, Kido, and Slash. His original strength was just a common player. Later, he gained the strength of a vice captain, and reached the level of vice captain in all aspects. But when Shiraki got the infinite instant coax, and then Reiatsu broke through, and got Zanpakuto and Hollow, his own Zonquan Zugi couldn't keep up with the longest boards. Even if Shiraki got Zanpakuto's body stat boost, consciousness selected 3 strengthening cards, and Shiraki chose to use them with a thought. Crack. In the interface that only Shiraki could see, the 3 special enhancement cards shattered and turned into dots of light and floated into his body. Then, the usual gentleness when the diary was strengthened flooded my body. Feeling that his body was getting stronger under the constant release of warmth, Shiraki closed his eyes quietly, waiting for the strengthening to end. But at this time, Shiraki, who had just closed his eyes, suddenly opened them. What happened? Shiraki was a little puzzled, because he could clearly feel that there was a tingle of pain in the gentleness of the body strengthening. And this stinging pain is still intensifying as the strengthening progresses. Not long after, the tingling pain in the body reached a level that could not be ignored. Isn't the strengthening of the diary always gentle and painless? Why is it an exception today? Feeling the sting, Shiraki frowned, thinking. Then, Shiraki figured it out. This is because the vice captain stepping into the captain is an advancement beyond the boundary. Although the vitality of the deputy captain is a bit inhuman, but the strength of the spirit body of the captain level is even more terrifying. For example, in the plot, when fighting against the monster Yan composed of the left arms of Apache, Mira Rhodes, and the 3 grandchildren, Matsumoto Rangaku, the vice captain and also a female, was weak. 2/3 of her waist was grabbed by Yaen's claws. Her internal organs were completely destroyed, and even her intestines were pulled out. But even with such injuries, Rangaku did not die on the spot. After persisting for a while, Rangaku was breastfed by Kira, who was not a full-time healer, with a half-baked Kaido, and he was able to go to Ichimaru Jin after a short rest. This is true for vice captains, but the captain level is even more exaggerated. In the same plot, during the Millennium Blood War, Byakuya Kuchiki was first caught by Ace Knot, who was in charge of fear, and pierced through his chest. Then Ace Knot beat him severely with the Bankai Senbon Sakura scene that he had robbed. Under the impact of Senbon Sakura Jingyan, Byakuya Kuchiki slammed into a wall heavily, and was washed away by Senbon Sakura Jingyan's Sakura Flower Sea. But even under such circumstances, Byakuya Kuchiki could persist until the arrival of Kurosaki Ichigo, and he still survived after the war, and was taken to the Zero Division for treatment. Such vitality can be called tenacious. And this, Byakuya Kuchiki himself is still the weaker type of captain. In the formula book, Byakuya Kuchiki's stamina is only 70. Shiraki is obviously not a genetically deficient person like Byakuya Kuchiki, so we need to strengthen him even more. Soon, the tingling pain in the body came to the top. Shiraki endured the intensified pain with a grim expression on his face. Fortunately, at this time, the enhancement of the cutting technique and the enhancement of Kido also come at the same time. Shiraki's consciousness, immersed in enhanced pain, was pulled out, and then split into 2. One keeps swinging the sword, and the other keeps casting Kido. Afterwards, the 2 Shiraki also used the chopping technique and Kido to face various enemies. During the battle, all kinds of insights kept pouring into Shiraki's mind. At the same time, just as the strengthening of the spiritual body is constantly intensifying, the enemies that the 2 Shiraki face are also constantly strengthening. Soon, the enemy reached the point where Shiraki was no match. Facing powerful enemies, the illusory Shiraki had to choose the last fight. Then, Shiraki, who uses swordsmanship, holds the long sword in his hand and holds it in front of his eyes, closing his eyes. Shiraki, using Kido, ignored all the disturbances in front of him and adjusted his state silently. When everything was adjusted, swordsman Shiraki poured all the Reiatsu into the blade. And Kido Shiraki raised his hand, aimed his palm at the enemy, and spit out a short Kido name. At last, sword pressure, 91 of Hado Senju Yantian Duan Pao. Pure white slash and continuous shelling annihilated all incoming enemies. At the same time, the strengthening of Shiraki is also completed at this moment. Call. After a long sigh of relief, Shiraki broke away from the intensified aftertaste. Just inject Reiatsu into Zanpakuto to swing the sword, and Reiatsu will be able to become as sharp as the sword in the instinct of swinging the sword for many years, and finally form the sword pressure. Destroy the Senju cannon that chant number 91, and keep the structure of the Senju cannon intact and precise, while at the same time having at least a quarter of the power of a full chant. Is this the captain level / technique, and the symbol of the captain level Kido? Recalling the reinforcement just now, Shiraki felt his eyes were opened. Before the time travel, the definition of strength in Shinigami was actually very vague. The strength of characters was divided according to their performance, and there were grades, but it was not detailed, let alone what performance corresponds to what grade. Unexpectedly, after time travel, the level of strength in the Shinigami world will be complemented for him. Sure enough, this is a real world. The details of various aspects cannot be shown by animations with limited space. By the way, do I have another chance to draw a lottery? Thinking, Shiraki turned his attention to the diary again. Yesterday, he drew non-chiefs at random, but only got Byakuya Kuchiki's pretend stunt flash flower. Shiraki really wants to know if he can change his life today. Shiraki thought. Ding, the random ability draw begins. The familiar random ability turntable began to pop up one name after another. Then Shiraki called a stop, and the new lottery results appeared. Ding, congratulations to host, you got a gift pack of Hokage Ninja World Taijutsu. A vast amount of knowledge flooded Shiraki's mind. Leaf Hurricane, Leaf Strong Whirlwind, Shadow Leaf Dancer, 8 Inner Gates, Surface Lotus, Inner Lotus, Morning Peacock, Day Tiger, Evening Elephant, Night Guy. Gentle Fist, 8 Trigrams Palms, Empty Palms, Revolving Heaven, Gentle Fist Double Lion Step, Yashigami Air Strike. Painful Feet, Strange Power, Heavy Waterfall, Willow Dance, Uchiha Hugging. Various ninja taijutsu appear in front of Shiraki. Shiraki was shocked, feeling the various physical techniques in his mind. 8 Inner Gates, Leonwa Series, Shishong, Yi Gai, etc., are they really the tricks he deserves? With this random ability draw, all the physical arts in the entire Hokage world were given to him in the name of physical arts, isn't it too grand? For a moment, Shiraki was a little dumbfounded. But soon he came back to his senses. The body arts of the entire Hokage ninja world are all packaged, which looks rich, but it is actually nothing. No localization specifically for the Shinigami world due to the all-packed spree. For example, 8 Inner Gates Shiraki cannot be used in the final battle, because Shinigami has a different meridian system than ninja. As for the latter moves, let alone the explosive physical improvement brought by 8 Inner Gates. The same is true of boxing such as Gentle Fist, Shiraki has no eyes, and Shinigami world melee combat is not popular. To sum it up, Shiraki can only use some pure physical body arts, such as Konoha Fluid Art and Konoha Flow Sword Art. As for others, at most, it's just a little reference value, such as Kimamaro's few dances, and some such as the use of Strange Power and Empty Palm. Thinking of this, Shiraki felt a little reconciled. Is it possible that the huge Hokage world can only give him these little details? Shiraki searched carefully in the big gift bag in his mind. After a while, Shiraki's eyes lit up, and he really found one. This is an original animation group, similar to 8 Inner Gates, which can absorb a large amount of oxygen through breathing to activate the whole body. Its name is 7 Heavens Calling Dharma. Heroes. After carefully reading the 7-day invocation in his mind, Shiraki was pleasantly surprised. Although the original plots of the Hokage animation team are always unreliable, but this time Shiraki has to give them a thumbs up. Because the 7-day call perfectly matches the Shinigami world. Shinigami's Reiatsu comes from the body, the replenishment channel is food, and the second is breathing. The air in Soul Society in Hueco Mundo is filled with immeasurable spirit particles. In Hueco Mundo with high concentration of spirit particles, the soul can even live by just breathing. And the 7-day breathing method of increasing breathing can make Shiraki's Reiatsu recover a lot of improvement, and it will not affect the original effect of breathing to improve the spirit body. Although the 7-day breathing method is moved to the Shinigami world, the first and second breaths such as opening the door and closing the door cannot be done. But a whole body boost is no problem. Okay, it's still a treasure. Shiraki nodded in satisfaction. Compared with yesterday's flashing flower, today's 7-day breathing method is obviously more satisfying to him. And the physical arts of a huge world can also bring Shiraki a lot of understanding, but these can only be explored later. Washed up casually. After getting something to eat, Shiraki headed to the second team to get ready for work. However, when Shiraki approached the captain's room of the second squad again, he was completely stunned. Because Rukia, whose breath was a little weak and whose face was a little pale, was happily chatting with Sui Feng. "Rukia, why are you here?" Shiraki asked suspiciously. "Because I have successfully transferred to the second team," Rukia replied with a smile. "Yes," Sui Feng continued. "Although he just transferred from another team, Rukia's strength is acceptable, his quality is excellent, and he is humble. So, from today, Rukia Kuchiki is the 5th member of our second team." After finishing speaking, Sui Feng looked at Shiraki and ordered, "In the next period of time, Shiraki, you can take Kuchiki to the 5th seat first. She will assist you to complete part of the work of the vice captain, and you can also use this to integrate into our second team." Oh, Shiraki was still a little stunned. It's just that he was still a little confused. "Didn't you just say you were going to transfer here yesterday? Why so fast?" Hearing this, Rukia explained, "Because I asked my elder brother on purpose. With the help of my elder brother, I turned around so quickly." "I see." Shiraki nodded. "With Byakuya Kuchiki's help, no wonder, it's all right." Crack. A photo of Rukia standing with Sui Feng was taken by Shiraki, and the joy in his heart was recorded. "Rukia has transferred to the second team, and will directly assist me in the future, happy. I didn't expect that I would be assisted by Rukia one day. Could it be that Rukia will still have something to do in the future? I don't have anything to do." Shiraki's smile gradually perverted. Seeing Shiraki being successfully fooled, Rukia and Sui Feng also looked at each other, and each saw a touch of relaxation from each other's eyes. In Jingling Court, where the rules are rigid, transferring teams is not such a simple matter. Last night we talked about transferring, and Renhe files came over today. Not only Byakuya Kuchiki, but also Jashiro Yukitaki and even Sui Feng contributed to Rukia's transition. 3 captains serve 1 person, and this is the real speed of soldiers. Even achieved results so quickly. Looking at the newly updated words in Shiraki's diary, for some reason, Rukia understood it in seconds. His pale face, which had lost some blood due to last night's battle, turned rosy. Shiraki was stunned by the look of Shishi holding her heart, plus a blush like rouge. But before Shiraki could take another look, a pain came from the soft flesh around his waist. Hiss. Shiraki shuddered. Only then did he realize that Sui Feng was looking at him with slightly frowned eyebrows. A smell of jealousy quietly permeated the air. Feeling the vinegar smell from Sui Feng, Shiraki was shocked. That day Sui Feng gave him benefits directly in Yoruichi, and also said that there would be other rewards afterwards. And in order to avenge the betrayed lover, giving away both herself and the other party together is indeed something that sick and delicate can do. After all, when you are sick and delicate, you can do anything, such as, there is no kind of sincerity in my stomach. However, since that day, Sui Feng has never appeared in front of Shiraki again. He thought it was because Sui Feng had calmed down and regretted it. After all, this is the normal world, not the family world. But unexpectedly, Sui Feng only played the truth for him. So, in this case, Sui Feng also likes me a little bit. Is it because of helping her in the conflict with Yoruichi that time? Or, I didn't betray her. Isn't it true that Sui Feng is so sensitive to the keyword of betrayal? Yoruichi, you are really doing all kinds of bad things. Shiraki was stunned, even amused. But the fact is that Sui Feng really fell in love with Shiraki because of that one time. Seeing her secret thoughts being peeped through, the arrogant Sui Feng couldn't hold back any longer. She dared not face Shiraki and pointed the finger at Rukia. Kuchiki 5 seats, did you not have a good rest last night? I think your face is a little pale. In this case, you should go down to rest first, and at the same time familiarize yourself with the affairs of the second team. By the way, don't forget to send invitations to the vice captains of each team and invite them to attend the inauguration ceremony of the vice captains tomorrow. You will be solely responsible for this. Sui Feng issued an order to evict the guest. Yes, Rukia took the order and left. Seeing Rukia's leaving back, Shiraki was very puzzled. Vice Captain, is there also an inauguration ceremony? Of course. Sui Feng gave Shiraki a blank look, as if he was speechless because of Shiraki's lack of common sense. Although not as powerful as the captain, the vice captain can be regarded as the #1 figure in Jingling Court. Of course there will be a ceremony for the new vice captain to take office. At that time, the members of the second team will be summoned, and the vice captains of the other teams will also come. This is mainly to let all the second team members know the new vice captain, and then let you get acquainted with the many vice captains of the 13th team. That's it. Shiraki understood. Do I need to prepare anything? No need, these Kuchiki 5 seats will be prepared for you. Sui Feng waved his small hand. Isn't the seat officer just doing these things? All right. Although some gloat that Rukia will be used as a horse when he first comes to the second team, but if the beneficiary is him, then there is no problem. It's just that there's one more thing Shiraki wants to know. Since Rukia has come to the second team, who is the new member of the 13th team? Forget it, let's ask her when we meet later. After chatting for a few more words, Sui Feng tidied up the things in the captain's room, then stood up and waved to Shiraki, follow me. Where are you going? Shiraki asked subconsciously. Go to the nest of maggots. Sui Feng showed a mysterious smile. I told you, I will give you a reward. Shiraki was excited when he heard Sui Feng's words. The nest of maggots, he remembered that Yoruichi was locked up there now. Masaka. With a hint of inexplicable expectation, Shiraki followed Sui Feng to the northwest direction of the second team's team building. Then, a small city surrounded by a moat and surrounded by high walls appeared in front of the two of them. Following Sui Feng, Shiraki stepped up the stairs and walked to the inside of the maggot nest step by step. After climbing the city wall, a hollowed-out, extremely deep underground cave appeared in front of the two of them. Shiraki has reason to suspect that Yoruichi's secret training ground in the Soul Society was created using the maggot nest technique. It's just that there is a playground that only she and people she knows can enter, and this is the darkest prison of the Soul Society. Only today, this prison makes Shiraki look a little strange. Because, the huge nest of maggots turned out to be silent. Taking 2 steps forward and stopping in front of Sui Feng, Shiraki's expression was a bit solemn. What about so many prisoners? Sui Feng, the maggot's nest seems a little too quiet. Seeing Shiraki standing in front of him, Sui Feng's heart warmed up, and there was a hint of love in his soft eyes. Her request was very simple, as long as she could not betray her. Of course, the arrogant Sui Feng would be even happier if she could pet her a little once in a while. But today's arrival is not all about cultivating feelings, but also fulfilling my promise. Sui Feng quickly recovered. She passed Shiraki and continued forward. It's okay, the nest of maggots is so quiet, it's just because the prisoners here are forced to be quiet. Sui Feng's words made Shiraki think of something, and he followed Sui Feng's footsteps. Afterwards, the two entered the square of the maggot's nest. Sure enough, there were dead bodies all over the place, with bruises all over the body. At first glance, the figures of many Shinigami who were beaten came into view. And in the very center of the square, Omeda Murekyo, who was transferred to the maggot's nest, was standing humbly aside with his head down, like a fat manager of a restaurant. Since there are managers, there are naturally customers. In front of Omeda Murekyo, Yoruichi, who was only wearing a Shinzan costume, was cooking crazily with a bowl the size of a washbasin, looking quite unpretentious and beautiful. But if you look in front of Yoruichi again, no one will feel that way anymore. Because, in front of Yoruichi, on the yellow soil, delicacies from mountains and seas covered the entire tablecloth. The simple and desolate nest of maggots formed a great contrast with the delicacies that did not belong here at all. I don't know, I thought the cloth in front of Yoruichi was Doraemon's gourmet tablecloth. But Shiraki knew it wasn't. These foods, obviously, are the real deal. It's Shihuin Yoruichi after all. Although it was locked in the nest of maggots, the nest of maggots was the nest of maggots of the second team. Except that you can't go out, it's no different from Shihuin's villa. Rich man. Looking at Yoruichi, Shiraki shed tears of poverty. At this time Yoruichi also saw the arrival of Sui Feng and Shiraki. She waved her hand enthusiastically. Hey, Sui Feng, brother Shiraki, have you eaten yet? I ate. I also ate. Answering briefly, Sui Feng and Shiraki came not far from Yoruichi, and made a gesture of waiting. Okay, then I won't eat any more. Seeing the two of them, Yoruichi also put away the bowl. After all, it's time to exercise later. Hearing this, Shiraki raised his eyebrows and looked at Sui Feng beside him. Sui Feng finally revealed the purpose of coming this time. I told you, there is another reward. And this is the reward. And this is the reward. Sui Feng's voice fell. Then, the already silent nest of maggots fell into a further dead silence. Is this the reward? Although it had been expected for a long time, Shiraki was still very surprised after hearing Sui Feng's big hand. He looked at Yoruichi aside. Yoruichi didn't object to Sui Feng's words at all, and even winked at Shiraki seductively when he looked over. Obviously, Yoruichi already knew about this, and this is probably the condition they negotiated that day. Sui Feng can get along with this person, and she really gives her benefits. Just give me Yoruichi as a reward, I can't refuse at all. Shiraki wrote emotionally in his diary. However, after expressing his shocking emotions in this form, Shiraki also recovered from the pie that fell from the sky. It is possible that Sui Feng sent Yoruichi to him, but it is obviously impossible for Yoruichi to be given away by Sui Feng. So, Sui Feng's words are not finished yet. Shiraki looked at Sui Feng. Captain Sui Feng, I'm just a new vice captain of the second team, what can I do? You are not a simple vice captain, you are special, you have the potential to surpass me, and even surpass many people. Sui Feng shook his head, meaning. Then before Shiraki tasted the ambiguity, Sui Feng said again, of course there are conditions. If you want to bring a wild cat home to become a domestic cat, you have to lure it with food or catch it with force, and it's the same here. Defeat Yoruichi, then she's yours. And if you can really defeat her and possess her, then I am you too. Having said that, Sui Feng paused, and didn't fully explain what he said. But through Sui Feng's serious and shy eyes, Shiraki also understood what she meant. In an instant, a flame ignited deep in Shiraki's heart. Seeing Shiraki's excited look, Sui Feng and Yoruichi secretly looked at each other, feeling satisfied. For Shiraki, they are irresistible, so let Shiraki take the initiative to find them. However, facing Sui Feng's conditions, before Shiraki could say anything, Omeda Marekio couldn't sit still. Captain Sui Feng, isn't this kid just able to fight a little bit? As for you and Master Yoruichi, you both favor him. Captain Sui Feng, Master Yoruichi, this kid is just a commoner, please think twice. Omeda Marekio said loudly. Jealousy broke him apart. Sui Feng is the dream of all the male Shinigami of the second team, and Yoruichi is the white moonlight of the second team Shinigami. Now, both Bai Yugong and Meng cast their eyes on a man at the same time, and no Shinigami from the second team can withstand such a blow. Under the impact of such facts, Omeda Marekio, who is usually cowardly, cast a murderous look at Shiraki that would make him take it a little seriously. Hey, Shiraki was amused. As long as Omeda Marekio showed a little bit of current momentum in the previous conflict, Sui Feng would not directly win him into the third seat and let Shiraki be the vice captain. After all, he was able to catch the second Espada and the former Hueco Mundo King Baragan without injury. Omeda Marekio was just cowardly, but his strength is still a bit. But this Sui Feng doesn't know. Looking at Omeda Marekio, she just got bored. He doesn't deserve it, so you deserve it. Sui Feng mocked contemptuously. Look at your fat body, Omeda. I choose a man, it's not your turn to intervene. Sui Feng scolded bluntly. Get off. Don't pollute my eyes here. Quote. Under Sui Feng's reprimand, Omeda Marekio gritted his teeth. But he who has already angered Sui Feng once, never dares to anger Sui Feng a second time. After glancing at Shiraki bitterly, Omeda Marekio had no choice but to leave. From beginning to end, this little conflict has no room for Shiraki to stand out. After teaching the disobedient subordinates, Sui Feng turned his head to look at Shiraki again. In an instant, the icy pretty face was like winter snow melting, and the spring breeze blew. The change from cold to soft made Shiraki dazzled. In terms of face changing, Sui Feng has done it right. Looking at Shiraki, Sui Feng continued. That's it for Yoruichi, I will give you permission next, you can come to the maggot's nest at any time, until you successfully conquer Yoruichi. However, do you want to try it now? Of course, no, forget it. Unexpectedly, they agreed, but Shiraki shook his head again. Now his strength has improved a lot compared to before, and if he goes back to fight Sui Feng, it won't be a big problem to win. But being able to defeat Sui Feng may not necessarily be able to defeat Yoruichi. To deal with a powerhouse like Yoruichi, if you can't defeat him once, it will not be so easy to win again. Shiraki is going to check in all the ladies and sisters of Jinglingting, and come back to experience the Yoruichi copy after mastering Bankai. After greeting Yoruichi, Shiraki and Sui Feng left the maggot nest and returned to the captain's room. The duties of the vice-captain of the second team are actually very leisurely. There are 5 sub-teams under the second division, and Xingjun of the first sub-team is directly under the captain. The police patrol of the second division is patrolling in Jingling Court, and most of the time they are not in the headquarters of the second division. As the captain, Shiraki only needs to look at the comprehensive information of his squad leader, and pass it to Sui Feng after screening. The supervision team of the third unit is in charge of the nest of maggots, but it is still not under the control of Shiraki. As for the fourth team, this one has no special responsibilities, it is the members of the common team, responsible for providing logistics services for each team. The fifth detachment, not to mention the lidding team, like the police patrol team, is not in the headquarters of the second division, but scattered in various divisions as messengers. So, to sum it up, Shiraki's vice-captain of the second team is an idle job, and the main improvement from the third seat to the vice-captain is the salary. After dealing with his own affairs for a while, Shiraki bid farewell to Sui Feng, returned to the chief officer's dormitory, and prepared to sort out today's affairs. However, when Shiraki was sorting out, the message from Rukia quickly spread to each team. Fourth team, the vice-captain's inauguration ceremony. Unohana Retsu showed a hint of surprise. There is indeed such a thing. Then Unohana Retsu looked at Yuyin, who had adjusted his appearance for another day after adjusting his dress. Yongyin, go see someone for me tomorrow. Ha, the nervous Yongyin subconsciously showed the original, surprised look like a boy. But under the watchful eyes of Unohana Retsu, he bravely gave up the question and agreed obediently. Seeing this, Unohana Retsu nodded in satisfaction. Yaxi, Yongyin is a good boy. The next step is to train Yongyin, so that the man named Shiraki will take the initiative to come over and bow down at her feet. Chapter 51. Today, I, Shiraki, am honored to be appointed by Captain Sui Feng as the vice-captain of the second division. Next, I will. The second team, on the high platform of the university field. Shiraki recited the speech that Rukia had written for him eloquently. And below him, Shinigami from the 5 teams of Xingjun, police patrol team, supervision team, logistics team, and lidding team filled the spacious school grounds. Among the densely packed crowd, the Xing army had the largest number, followed by the logistics team and the police patrol team, and the supervisory team and the lidding team had the least number. Although the number of people is scarce because the positions are inseparable from people, the top management of the supervision team and the lidding team also came in full. Obviously, after Sui Feng dealt with Omeda Marekio with lightning force, no one dared to obey Sui Feng's orders. However, the changes within the second team obviously cannot affect people outside the second team. How long will this be? Why isn't it over yet? Looking at the Shiraki on the high platform not far away in the hallway of the house next to the university field, Abarai Renji was a little impatient. His irritable expression drew a burst of hearty laughter from Tetsuziman at the side. Ha ha ha, you came early, Renji. Shoji-san. Abarai Renji's expression became somewhat helpless. Faced with the ridicule that his big brother's shooting range has been from the 11th team, Renji is obviously powerless to refute. Fortunately, at this time, Kira Izuru on the side chimed in. You can't say that, Renji came so early, he wanted to meet Rukia, right? I heard that she seems to be transferred to the second team. Yeah, Kira's words surprised the shooter. Rukia, that's the one Renji always mentioned. Has Rukia been transferred to the second team? When did it happen? And Renji also looked at Kira in surprise. Kira, how did you know? I only found out about this when I was going to send Rukia off to Team 13 yesterday. Ah, facing the eyes of the two, Kira scratched the back of her head in embarrassment. It's Captain Ichimaru, he accidentally mentioned it yesterday. Oh, that's how it is. Listening to Kira's answer, Shechang and Renji were stunned, and they didn't think much about it. As expected of the captain, the news is well informed. So, Renji, have you seen Rukia? Asked the shooter. Ah, Renji's face froze from the shot. And looking at his expression, the shooting field who is very familiar with this little brother was surprised. I haven't seen it. Why, don't you have such a relationship? Have you asked anyone from the second team? What did they say? Shechang asked. As a result, Renji's face became even more stinky. They said that Kuchiki 5 is currently helping Vice Captain Shiraki prepare for the inauguration ceremony, and it is not convenient to meet guests for the time being. Please wait patiently for the inauguration ceremony to complete. Renji explained helplessly. 5 seats. This time it was Kira's exclamation. I remember Rukia has always been a member of the common team. How did you transfer to the second team and become the 5th seat? You must know that in the power structure of Jingling Court, Wuxi can be regarded as the number 1 figure. Tisk, how do I know that? Renji shook his head unhappily. I asked the people in the 13th squad, and they said that Rukia was going to perform a mission in the real world, but in the end, accompanied by Captain Kuchiki, he turned down the mission in the real world, and then completed the team transfer in just 1 day. At the same time, Omeda, the original vice captain, was dropped suddenly, and Shiraki was the vice captain of the 2nd division of the parachute. I just think these two are weird. Renji complained. In that case, it's true. Shooting Field touched his chin, and then he turned his head to look not far away. Hey, Mr. Sasaki, do you know the inside information? No, I don't know. Chojiro Sasaki shook his head, because this is an operation between Captain Jashiro, Captain Kuchiki, and Captain Sui Feng. But I know a thing or two about Shiraki's vice captain. Oh, tell me, Mr. Sasaki. Hisagi Shuhei also leaned over after listening to the conversation of several people. But Chojiro Sasaki didn't speak, but glanced at several people in deep thought. After thinking about it, and confirming that the people in front of him are all the juniors of the vice captain that he is very optimistic about, after he can tell them something, Chojiro Sasaki said. It's because of the Yoruichi team. No, it's about the traitor Shihuin Yoruichi. Sasaki organizes the following languages. To put it simply, when Shihuin Yoruichi sneaked into the 2nd squad and was captured by Captain Sui Feng, quite a few people in the 2nd squad chose to stand on the side of the traitor Shihuin Yoruichi and drew their swords at Captain Sui Feng. Quote. And Shiraki stood up at that time, loyally chose Captain Sui Feng, and at the same time said no to his colleagues who had deviated in their thinking. So under Shiraki's powerful strength, Captain Sui Feng successfully captured the traitor Shihuin Yoruichi. Afterwards, Omeda Marekio was demoted, while Shiraki was promoted. When Chojiro Sasaki said this, several young vice captains in front of him also understood. It turned out to be like this. Such a thing happened to the 2nd team. Several people were shocked. And Chojiro Sasaki also timely warned several young vice captains, so you should also take warning, your allegiance is to Jinglingting itself, not the captain. When a similar situation happens, you must clarify your position, you know. Teach me, Senior Sasaki. Renji and the others bowed their heads. And after Chojiro Sasaki's words, the chatterbox of several people also completely opened up. By the way, Renji, Shiraki should be in the same class as you, right? With such a strong ability, why have you never heard of it before? The shooting range looked at Renji and Kira. Facing the problem of the shooting range, the expressions of the two became a little unnatural at the same time. After all, Shiraki, as the object of envy and hatred in their school days, has disappeared and they are already very happy, so why would they take the initiative to mention it? Ha ha ha, it's not that everyone doesn't know each other very well. Renji snapped. Yeah, and the original Shiraki wasn't very strong, so it should be a lot of accumulation right now. Kira took advantage of the situation to change the subject. By the way, why are there only a few of us guys here, such as Rengoku and them? Why haven't you come in yet? Indeed, where's the person? The speech is almost over, they are not such unpunctual people. Shooting Field looked at the gate of the 2nd team. But what few people don't know is, in fact, many female vice captains are not late. Instead, they gathered at the gate of the 2nd division, and under the watchful eyes of Sister Wa, a weird atmosphere spread. Obviously, everyone is a member of the Female Shinigami Association, and getting along with each other on weekdays is also a lot of fun. But at this moment, it was as if there was a layer of pathetic barriers in front of everyone. Therefore, Hinamori Momo is very puzzled. What's even more puzzling is that in front of her, Rengoku, Aiz Nanao, Isamu, and even Yakiryu are all making eye contact. Behind her, after Ni Yinmeng arrived, seeing this scene, as if she understood something, she silently stood at the end of the line and entered a state of standby. And the only one who doesn't know anything and doesn't know why the current situation happened is only her, Hinamori Momo. Facing such eerie silence, after waiting for a long time, Miss Tauzi finally couldn't wait any longer. Standing out of the queue at the head of the line, Hinamori Momo boldly asked, "Captain Unohana, and everyone, why are we standing here?" As soon as Hinamori Momo's words came out, she seemed to violate some rules, and the eye contact between the girls was interrupted instantly. Then, they turned their heads very synchronously, and the weird eyes looked at Hinamori Momo's whole body numb. At this moment, the 5 girls in front of Hinamori Momo seemed to be controlled by one person. Oh, the terrifying sight made Hinamori Momo shrink his neck, clamp his thighs tightly, and let out an embarrassing sound. An uncontrollable sense of panic spread in Hinamori Momo's heart, and she even thought in horror. What's going on, Miss Rengoku, Captain Unohana and the others, are they possessed by ghosts? They stopped to check who else was not being manipulated by them, and I jumped out recklessly. Could it be, is it that I'm going to, no, Yamete, Captain Aizen, save me today? Hinamori Momo groaned in her heart, and 2 crystal clear tears appeared in the corner of her eyes. However, just as Hinamori Momo was about to turn into a bedwetting peach, Unohana Retsu, who was standing in front of the crowd and maintained an unbelievable majesty, suddenly smiled softly. In an instant, hundreds of flowers bloomed, and the strange atmosphere caused by the strange silence dissipated. It's okay, Hinamori, we're only here because there's something between us to talk about. You go in alone first, we will come as soon as we finish talking. Unohana Retsu said softly. Hinamori Momo feels that Sister Hua's voice seems to have undergone some changes, and she feels more like a sister than an elder. If you really think about it, the girls who came today are all pretty well dressed. Nanao got a new pair of glasses, Rengoku's neckline was tightened, Yongyin's hairstyle changed, Yinmeng got new accessories, etc. Attending in such a well-dressed manner, and putting in so much effort outside the prescribed deadly attire, it was as if they were about to meet some important person. But right now Hinamori Momo has no time to think carefully. After receiving Unohana Retsu's entry permit, she was amnesty and quickly entered the second team at a trot. Seeing Hinamori Momo's back disappearing in front of his eyes, Unohana Retsu turned his head. Okay, it seems that Tauzi probably didn't get that thing, but the rest of the people should have it, right? Unohana Retsu asked, is there any? There was silence. Very good. Unohana Retsu nodded in satisfaction, and then she directly summoned her diary. Following her actions, so did the rest of the girls. And at this moment, a prompt sound appeared. Ding, it is detected that a large number of diary copies appear in a short distance at the same time, and the group chat function is unlocked. Would you like to join the family chat group? Love each other family chat group. What an interesting name. Feeling the sudden appearance of the chat group, Unohana Retsu frowned slightly, but, what is this for? Go in and have a look. Unohana Retsu chose to accept. Then, in front of Unohana Retsu's eyes, a virtual interface appeared. Ding, Yongyin has joined the chat group. Ding, Yachinliu has joined the chat group. Ding, Aiz Nanao has joined the chat group. The continuous group prompts sounded continuously. In just an instant, the 5 girls present all made the same choice as Unohana Retsu. Looking at the chat interface, Unohana Retsu also understood the role of the chat group. It's very useful, I wanted to add friends and talk about it one by one. But it's much more convenient now. A message from Unohana Retsu goes out. Others also responded. Rengoku, Captain Unohana Retsu, are you trying to stop us here? Hehe. Unohana Retsu smiled softly, and the former first-generation Kenpachi's demeanor regained a little. Since Rengoku asked, I'll keep it simple. What I want to talk about is about Shiraki's distribution. Seeing Unohana Retsu's words, all the girls were shocked and angry. They never expected that Unohana Retsu was the one who wanted to directly distribute resources. Captain Unohana Retsu, don't you think you are too strong? Rengoku stepped forward angrily. I don't think so. Unohana Retsu responded with a smile. On the contrary, compared to my original choice, I am now very gentle. And just when Rengoku and Nanao wanted to compete against Unohana Retsu's smile gradually faded, the corners of her mouth curved downward, and her bright face was also cast in a shadow because of leaning forward. From the opened eyes, a bloody smell that can suffocate people gushes out. In the era when I was first-generation Kenpachi, if there were such a miracle, there would be such a man. You guys are already dead. There is no mercy in Unohana Retsu's words. And looking at Unohana Retsu, Rengoku and Nanao were completely overwhelmed. At this moment, they finally understood Unohana Retsu's intentions. What war, what snatch. The moment Unohana Retsu deposits the horse, these things don't exist. As it says in Shiraki's diary, Unohana Retsu is the big wife. It can also be said to be a big woman. Rengoku looked at Yakiryu and Nirvana beside him as if asking for help. Only then did she realize that the attitudes of Yachinryu and Nianmeng hadn't changed from the beginning to the end. Yakiryu even smiled at Rengoku. Don't look at me Rengoku-ju, you guys, I'm not going to participate. Rengoku looked at Nirvana beside him. Nianmeng lowered her head. Nianmeng is just a man-made Shinigami, and there are not many pursuits. I believe Captain Unohana Retsu can make reasonable arrangements. Rengoku. Before the fight even started, the teammate finished casting, so what did she say? With the last hope, Rengoku looked at Sister Wa. So, Sui Feng's problem. I'll fix it. Unohana Retsu's words still didn't waver. I can't let them monopolize it, even if they do have the first mover advantage. Yeah, okay. Rengoku let go of his shoulders, deflated. Even the combination of Sui Feng and Yoruichi is not in the eyes of Sister Wa, so what else can she say? Maybe, this is the big woman. Seeing this situation, Rengoku could only look at Sui Feng, Rukia and others as if asking for help. She is very clear that at this time, her own strength is far from being able to compete with Captain Unohana. The result left Rengoku in despair. I saw Sui Feng, who had always been rebellious, swallowed his saliva, and didn't dare to look at Unohana Retsu too much. And whoever Unohana looked at, his head turned to the side in embarrassment. Rengoku also wanted to criticize them for being too weak-willed. But when Unohana Retsu looked at her, Rengoku found himself bowing his head shamefully, unconsciously. Unohana looked kindly at the last Nirvana dream. Nianmeng, do you agree with my approach? Emotions have not yet been perfected, and Nianmeng, who is considered to be more than half of the robot, bowed his head. Yinmeng is just a man-made Shinigami, and there are not many pursuits. I believe Captain Unohana Retsu can make reasonable arrangements. Quote. All the girls stood in front of Unohana Retsu with their heads bowed, just like the obedient students facing the class teacher. Unohana Retsu didn't do anything, but just showed a little momentum, and these people became obedient, which was completely suppressed by blood. Looking at the girls with low brows and pleasing eyes, Unoka withdrew her terrifying aura and greeted the girls gently. Sit. So the girls sat down obediently. Rengoku looked at the low-browed companions and fell silent. As the heroine, Rukia obediently let Unohana Retsu handle it. What else could she do? Unohana Retsu looked at the girls and made tea for them himself. Although Rukia and the others held the tea bowls in their hands, they did not drink. This is their last dignity and silent protest. Seeing the silent protests of the girls, Unohana Retsu didn't get angry, and took a sip on his own. Don't be angry, I'm doing this for all of us, I think, you all have this thing. Unohana Retsu took out the diary. Everyone nodded silently, without any extra expressions. Unohana Retsu smiled lightly. Since there are all of them, it's easy to say. I said, you went to Shiraki because of the latest points mall, and everyone wants to improve themselves. However, have you ever thought about the consequences that would lead to when you came to the door with such a brain? Sui Feng frowned. What consequences? Unohana Retsu said lightly. It will make Shiraki wary of those of us who own the diary, those of us who will change our own course of action based on his diary. I think, you can notice this, right? All eyes were on Rukia's head. On this point, Unohana did not lie. But so what? Rukia bit her lip. This is not a reason for you to occupy Shiraki. Hana put down the tea. Don't you understand? Shiraki has become wary of us. None of us can predict what kind of results this will lead to. If it leads to some misunderstandings, because of the limitations of our diary, no one can predict what kind of results this will lead to. Explain to Shiraki, whether we want to do it directly or indirectly. Now, everyone frowned. Everyone really didn't think of this question. Moreover, many of you have never had any contact with Shiraki before, so if you rush to find each other, you may even make some actions that seem very abrupt to him, which is more likely to lead to misunderstandings. After finishing speaking, Hana said something even more terrifying. And, that's not the worst possible outcome. The worst result is to let Shiraki speculate about the connection between the diary and us. We contacted him because we actually asked him. In that case, all of us will be subject to him, all of us are equivalent to dogs on a leash by him. Do you want this to happen? There was a look of horror on everyone's face. If that happens, Shiraki knows that he has the ability to influence their fate. Maybe you will actually be asked to do this or that. Do something shameful, even something they don't like. All of a sudden, everyone's face turned red. Fortunately, Captain Hana reminded them in advance. Otherwise, the consequences will be disastrous. Although Shiraki-kun is a good person, maybe he has some evil tastes. All the girls patted their chests one after another, as if they had survived the catastrophe. Of course, some weak people are willing to be sandwich biscuits. In this case, I didn't say it. Sui Feng's face froze, and then turned red. Everyone heard a crisp sound, and the wooden plank under Sui Feng's body shattered, but after all, he didn't turn against Hana. Was suppressed to death. Captain Hana, what should we do? The women who were dissatisfied with Hana's 10,000 before began to sincerely ask for advice. It's very simple. Unoka raised a finger. All of us formed a coalition to hide from Shiraki the relationship between his diary and us, and to provide cover for other people's contact behavior when others need it. We have to work hard to let Shiraki attribute the reasons for our behavior changes to the consequences of our behavior, not others, so that we can contact Shiraki with more peace of mind. Second, we will work together to squeeze all Shiraki's time and drain Shiraki dry together. Let us improve more strength, and let some of you get back the dominant power in getting along with Shiraki. Quote. At this time, Sui Feng, who had been dissatisfied with how domineering Hana Retsu was, finally found a chance to speak. She bluntly refuted Hana. Squeeze Shiraki dry. Captain Hana, it's too much for you to say that. Shiraki-kun is a person, not a tool. What do you think of Shiraki? Rukia and others were silent. It seems that just now, Sui Feng was really pissed off by Hana's secret teasing. Otherwise, I wouldn't refute Hana like this now. Facing Sui Feng's words, Anakana smiled lightly. Don't think that if you take Shiraki temporarily, you can sit back and relax. You must know that men like the new and dislike the old. If Shiraki loses interest in you and doesn't mention your names anymore, you say, what should you do? But as long as your strength is always in sync with Shiraki's and higher than Shiraki's, you will always have a place in Shiraki's heart. After hearing this, Sui Feng didn't speak anymore. Barely makes sense. Now Shiraki is interested in Yoruichi and her. But after Shiraki got them, the situation might change. Relying on some words, Unoka finally persuaded everyone to agree to act in accordance with Unoka's policies and instructions. Looking at the tamed girls, Anakana smiled confidently. Don't worry, we form an alliance to squeeze Shiraki dry. There is only good for us, there is no harm. At the same time, on the other side, the second team. At this time, Shiraki was standing on the podium, speaking a bunch of false words. I saw Shiraki's tone was serious, and he solemnly stated that he must implement Jinglingting's thoughts and maintain world stability and peace. Follow the orders of the chief upwards, and care for the subordinates downwards. Bang bang. As for the people below, they slapped their faces in a big way. At the scene, the atmosphere was very harmonious. Shiraki looked at the group of men with formulaic smiles on their faces in front of him, with question marks in his mind. What about Laozi's woman? Sui Feng, where did you go for me? I appointed the vice captain of the second squad, how about you, the captain? Rukia, you are my always-on call Xiaomi, you ran there. Shiraki is heartbroken, Sui Feng is fine for now, and Rukia needs to be taught. In the crowd, Renji looked at, lonely, with a white fang smile. Shiraki is not that popular either, a woman who came to congratulate Shendu did not. Didn't they say that many female Shinigami came to congratulate our Shiraki captain? People. Renji, it's too obvious. Shechang looked at the bright smile on Renji's face and reminded him helplessly. Hey, it's just that this kid is upset. He has rejected so many women, but those women are still like moths. Even if they fall to pieces, they still want to get close to him. Renji said viciously. Is it that exaggerated? Listening to Renji's exaggerated description, the shooting field laughed. Renji's orangutan stared. How is it not so exaggerated, you know? Back in the academy, there were people who wanted female Shinigami, even twin Shinigami, and offered to be with him together. That's not the most hateful thing. The most hateful thing is that the twins were brutally abused by other female Shinigami students. Make sure Renji is not telling jokes, and the mouth of the shooting field becomes O-shaped. Who is this Shiraki so divine that it has such magical powers? But judging from today, this Shiraki is still not as powerful as you said. While Shooting Field was chatting with Renji, a girl walked up to the stage in front of many Shinigami, and Shooting Field squeezed her glasses. Isn't this Yang Yin? The girl in front of the stage had short hair, delicate features, and a slender figure. It's not Peng Bai on the chest, it's okay to say it's a boy. Excuse me, is this Shiraki's vice captain? Yu Yin looked up at Shiraki, with a youthful expression like a green apple on his face. It's me, you are Yang Yin. Shiraki responded with a click. The youthful Yang Yin looks just like his younger brother. He sees too many charming beauties, and it's not bad to see beauties of different styles once in a while. Shiraki punched Yang Yin. The first time he punched Yang Yin, the system provided another reward. Because Yudo seemed to have something to say, Shiraki didn't look at the reward carefully but looked back slowly. That's Captain Shiraki, your talent in practice is recognized by Captain Unohana very much. Captain Unohana sent me today to convey my wish to accept you as an apprentice, what do you think? Yang Yin spoke concisely and directly stated the purpose of this trip. Captain Unohana wants to take Shiraki as his apprentice. This explosive news swept the audience like a whirlwind. Yang Yin's voice was not too loud, but because the scene was relatively quiet after she arrived, all the Shinigami present heard him. Abarai Renji was stunned. Why did Captain Unohana accept Shiraki as his apprentice? Yudo must be joking. Hira Iziru, whose blonde hair covered his left eye, was also shocked by the news. If Shiraki agrees, then he is Captain Unohana's only apprentice, right? Sasaki nodded long. Indeed. The team members who came to congratulate each other felt a little confused. Why did Captain Unohana, who bears the name of first-generation Kenpachi, suddenly accept apprentices? I've never heard of any contact between the two before. Thinking about it carefully, this matter is full of puzzling weirdness everywhere. Shiraki is indeed good, with strong strength, high talent, and unlimited future potential. Not long after graduation, he possessed the strength of the captain level. But it's just that, Captain Unohana shouldn't have sent Yudo to recruit disciples on his own initiative. If Shiraki-kun is the kind of Shinigami who is extremely good at swordsmanship, it makes sense. But no one has heard of Shiraki's outstanding achievements in Kendo. Well, forget it, maybe Shiraki-kun has some special talent. Shooting Field held his head and decided not to think about it anymore. Although that person's mind has changed a lot over the millennium, no one can guess it. Well, Shiraki-kun, what do you mean? Yunin was still waiting for Shiraki's answer. She hopes Shiraki agrees. That way, she would also be able to have regular contact with Shiraki. However, she also respects Shiraki's own wishes, so she didn't say that there are any benefits to being the disciple of Captain Unohana. Looking at Yudo, Shiraki was as shocked as any Shinigami present. My god, the eldest wife wants to take me as an apprentice, so the difficulty of my strategy in the future is not to take off from the same place. But think about it, the master's love, the taboo between teachers and students, it's still exciting to think about it. That is to say, why did Captain Unohana accept me as an apprentice? I should have nothing to attract her right now. This is really tangled, whether I agree or not. It seems that there is no harm in agreeing. I have been envious of this eldest sister for a long time. There is something wrong with Sui Feng. As his vice captain, but he is the captain of another team, this sick girl will probably think that I have embarrassed her in the second team. Forget it, agree first, then I will say that I am only here to improve my strength, and I am definitely not greedy for beauties. It has nothing to do with anything else, so let her not think too much about it. I promise, Shiraki replied crisply. A fool would not agree. That is the future wife. After much deliberation, Shiraki agreed. The benefits of being Unohana Retsu are too numerous for Shiraki to resist. But Shiraki didn't expect that all the mental activities in his mind just now were seen by Sui Feng and others. The fourth team at this time. A group of female Shinigami sit together, and the atmosphere is really weird. Except for Unohana Retsu, who was calmly drinking scented tea, Nanao Eyes and the other women all quietly looked at Sui Feng, who exuded purple resentment from the corner of their eyes. At this time, Sui Feng only felt that 10,000 nuclear bombs exploded in her heart, making her lose her mind. Shiraki, you fool. Sui Feng looked at the diary, the veins on his face were bulging, and the white teeth were about to be crushed. You guy with eyes in your crotch, let's see how I deal with you when I go back. Sui Feng roared angrily in front of Unohana Retsu and the crowd. Shiraki's diary undoubtedly slapped her in the face. Sui Feng was roaring, while all the girls lowered their heads, looking at the tea bowls in their hands. Rukia opened her mouth, not knowing whether to speak or not. But in the end she kept her mouth shut. She wanted to tell Captain Sui Feng that with Shiraki's current strength, I'm afraid she didn't want to clean it up, so she just cleaned it up. It is very possible to be reversed and trained. But Sui Feng was in a fit of anger, so she didn't dare to speak out, for fear of offending Sui Feng. Okay, Captain Shiraki, before tomorrow, please make sure to visit Lord Unohana. After Yang Yin gave his instructions, he went back without staying any longer. It is a serious crime to have too much private contact with Vice Captain Shiraki without Mr. Unakana's permission. After agreeing to Yuyin, Shiraki looked at Yuyin's back, feeling a little unreal. Is this becoming Unohana's disciple? In the future, maybe we can cultivate Unohana well and make her a trump card against Aizen Kusuk. At this time, some people who used to have friendship with Shiraki in the academy invited Shiraki to go to the izakaya together. Let's invite Shiraki. Happy to celebrate Shiraki's becoming the vice captain of the second team. There are some famous characters among them, and Shiraki also saw the guy Abarai Renji with a curved mouth. Tisk, gorilla, although I don't like you very much, but since I greened you, I should go to make up for it. Shiraki thought. Captain Unohana arranged for himself before tomorrow, so it's no problem to go out to socialize today. He has only just become the vice captain, so it is necessary to get to know each other's team members well and get on good terms with each other. When we arrived at an izakaya, many people gathered at Shiraki's table, and many of them were also at the captain and vice captain level. Yo, Vice Captain Shiraki, I'm Kagaku Tetsuziman, a senior of Abarai Renji. Hi, I'm Kira Iziru. Vice Captain Shiraki, my name is Chojiro Sasaki. I am also a vice captain just like you, and I belong to the first team. Quote. Hello, everyone. I just became the vice captain. If you have any questions in the future, I would like to thank you for your support. Shiraki took the wine bowl and spun it around, then drank it in one gulp. Cough cough. Taking a sip, Shiraki coughed repeatedly. He thought that in his current body, drinking this thing was like drinking water. Everyone looked at Shiraki, who was on the face with just a bowl of wine, and said politely. Among them, Chojiro Sasaki asked Shiraki curiously, Vice Captain Shiraki, are you familiar with Captain Unohana? Shiraki looked at the curious eyes sitting around him, put down the wine bowl, and said with a smile. Everyone wants to know why Captain Unohana accepted me as an apprentice. Everyone nodded in unison. You know, Unohana Yakiryu, in the eyes of most Shinigami, is a figure who can almost stand shoulder to shoulder with Captain Yamamoto. For such a character, everyone is very curious why they pay attention to a newly promoted vice captain and accept him as an apprentice. Shiraki spread his hands. To be honest, I don't know either. I haven't met Captain Unohana before. I just heard her name. If I insist on saying it, it may be my name. It was passed on to the Women's Shinigami Association, so that Uji Captain Wa noticed it. This answer is quite unorthodox. But it was seriously considered by Shiraki before. If it weren't for knowing that Captain Unohana doesn't like men, and is a war-loving person at heart, Shiraki really thinks this is the most reliable reason. Shiraki-kun, you are really humorous. Everyone froze for a moment, half speechless and half funny. Mr. Shiraki, although this is a good thing, but when you are under Unanoka-sama, you must behave yourself and don't confront Captain Anakana. Chojiro Sasaki commanded so. Chojiro Sasaki is a loyal captain of Yamamoto, and one of the few veteran captains. So he knows relatively more about Unohana Retsu than the other Shinigami from thousands of years ago. Why does the old man say that? Captain Unohana is obviously a very gentle person. Sasaki shook his head. The current Captain Unohana is indeed like this, but, forget it, if I didn't say it, anyway, Shiraki-kun, just pay attention to it. I believe that no one will dislike you as an excellent junior. Shiraki nodded. He felt that Sasaki was a little too cautious. I didn't expect that besides Yamamoto Genryusai and Zaraki Kenpachi, there are people who know about Unohana Retsu's past. Although it is a good intention, I think Chojiro Sasaki is still too sensitive. Unohana Retsu has no reason to become the same as before. Although I am strong, to Sister Wa, I am not a serious opponent, and I am not at the same level as Kenpachi, who is naturally powerful. At this point, Shiraki doesn't know yet. His future master has already formulated a detailed and thorough study and training plan to squeeze him dry. Just to impress him, she mentioned her name frequently in the diary. Early the next morning, Shiraki was about to set off for the 4th squad to visit his master. By the way, he also wanted to ask why the other party accepted him as an apprentice. As soon as he went out, Shiraki met Sui Feng and Rukia, who came back from nowhere. Where did you go yesterday? Yesterday was my appointment ceremony. One of you is my boss and the other is my subordinate, where did you go? Serious criticism, Rukia, come to my office tonight and I'll teach you how to be a good secretary. To be honest, Shiraki was really upset. These two people simply shouldn't. But at the same time, Shiraki noticed that the expressions of the two were a little weird. Rukia is fine. A pair of eyes, wanting to say something, but seeing Sui Feng's expression is hard to say. But with Sui Feng's eyes, Shiraki felt a little penetrating. When he was talking just now, Sui Feng looked at him directly with those sharp-edged eyes. That look, Shiraki couldn't describe it. What's the matter? At this time, Sui Feng spoke. I heard that the woman Ujawa decided to accept you as an apprentice. It turned out to be for this matter, I said what happened. Shiraki felt that he had figured out Sui Feng's bottom line, and his confidence rose instantly. He didn't notice that Rukia behind Sui Feng was winking at him desperately. At this time, Shiraki was completely unaware of the seriousness of the problem. Fortunately, I have been prepared for a long time, and I have a draft in my heart. Shiraki made an expression that I thought you were going to say something, and said dissatisfied, I heard that Captain Unohana is quite strong, so I just. Sui Feng interrupted Shiraki. So you agreed, you just want to improve your strength. Shiraki nodded with that expression on his face. Looking at Sui Feng, Shiraki lamented that Sui Feng is becoming more and more understanding and has learned to answer quickly. Sui Feng, I found that you are still very understanding. As soon as Shiraki finished speaking, he looked at Sui Feng in bewilderment and he twice, and then he found that Sui Feng started to chant his own Zanpakudo's Shikai language. Shiraki looked at Sui Feng, who was suddenly angry, and Rukia, who was covering his face helplessly, and finally realized that something was wrong. That's right, something is very wrong. A nest of maggots. Ha 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 ha, well done, Xiaoling Xiao. Yoruichi, who is very leisurely, is laughing happily. Because of Shiraki's latest diary, Yoruichi, who has frequently suffered from Sui Feng in recent days, sees the hope of bringing the situation back. Sui Feng, that's too presumptuous. She treats me like this, completely disregarding the old friendship, but in front of Yoruichi's catmaid, I firmly chose her for A. Looks like I made the wrong bet. If I had known I would have chosen Yoruichi, I would have chosen Yoruichi to make Sui Feng. As long as I master Yoruichi, Sui Feng is not how I want to need, so I can need it as I want. No, I have to figure out a way to get Yoruichi out. Sui Feng is too rebellious, she needs to be taught a lesson. Yes, that's it. What are you doing to please Xiaoling Xiao? Her moody temperament is to please me. I will definitely subdue Xiaoling Xiao and make your sandwich biscuits. Yoruichi's eyes were hooked, and he raised his eyes happily. She felt that if Xiaoling Xiao continued like this, it wouldn't be long before Shiraki would find a way to get her out. At that time, she should teach Xiaoling Xiao well. Not seeing her for several years, how dare she treat her like this? ... Fourth team. Shiraki, who has dealt with his injury, knocked on the door of the fourth team. It was Yun who opened the door. Vice Captain Shiraki, you are here. Captain Unakana has been waiting for a long time, come with me. Shiraki followed behind Yun, who led the way, and he also had some expectations in his heart. Hana Queen, this is the first time I've seen a real person. Pushing open the sliding door, Shiraki saw Hana kneeling at the low table. Why isn't Hana's braid tied in front of her chest? Shiraki was a little puzzled when he saw Hana's hair hanging freely on the back of his head. But this way, it really looks much better than that. You are Shiraki-kun. While speaking, Unakana pushed the tea bowl to Shiraki's side. Yes, Shiraki sat down a little stiffly. In front of this Soul Society's peak combat power, Shiraki still has a certain degree of nervousness. But more excited. In the dark, Shiraki has come and shot 10 consecutive shots. There are solo close-ups, and there are photos of him and Hana together. The most a woman in Soul Society is right in front of me now. Although she looks very gentle, I still prefer her murderous look, the appearance of gods blocking and killing gods, and Buddhas blocking and killing Buddhas. Oh, Shiraki actually prefers me 1,000 years ago. Single quote. Unakana was a little surprised, but then smiled again. This aesthetic is really unique, worthy of being her chosen apprentice. Soul Society everywhere. Knowing that Shiraki will go to find Hana today, all the female Shinigami keep their diaries. Especially Sui Feng and Yoruichi. At this time, Sui Feng saw the excitement revealed between the lines in Shiraki's diary, and the whole person was mad with anger. Because Shiraki went to the fourth team in front of her. It feels like a man is put on a green hat. This is almost unacceptable for the rebellious Sui Feng. She can accept Yoruichi to share Shiraki with her, but Sui Feng is not so generous with the rest of the women. When I was in the second team, Rukia, the heroine, said a few words with Shiraki, and she often wore small shoes. A lovely family. Sui Feng. What god blocks and kills gods, and Buddha blocks and kills Buddha? I think Shiraki's brain is broken. Just now. Sui Feng was quite dissatisfied because Shiraki viewed Hana so highly. In a mysterious group, Sui Feng sent a sentence. There are currently 8 members of this loving family: Hana, Sui Feng, Rukia, Kusajishi Yakiru, Aiz Naneo, Ni Yinmang, Rangaku, and Yoruichi. It was yesterday that the 8 women gathered in the fourth team. The system detected multiple diaries in the same place, and the system generated it by itself. At that time, the girls were pulled into this group of loving family members. After returning to the second team, Sui Feng studied for a while, and then pulled Yoruichi into it. Because Hana Retsu is the strongest, the system judges Hana as the group leader. Because there is no Unoka to suppress her face-to-face, Sui Feng wantonly expresses his dissatisfaction with Unoka among the loving family. Fourth team. Ujawa glanced at the group. Sui Feng's incompetence and rage did not cause any ripples in his emotions. Pointless speech. When Shiraki surrendered at her feet, at that time, the little bee was still at her mercy. At that time, she will let Sui Feng conduct a deep review of his words and deeds today. Little Shiraki, before officially becoming my disciple, I allow you to ask me a question, and I can answer it. Ujawa looked at the handsome little boy in front of her, and she knew that he must have a lot of doubts in his heart. As soon as Shiraki heard it, he knew that this opportunity to ask questions was specially given to him by the other party. Well, Captain Hana, I want to know, why do you want to accept me as an apprentice? Hana chuckled, because I see potential in you. There is no difference from Yang Yin's answer yesterday. Shiraki scratched his head and wanted to ask a little more detail, but Hana took the initiative to explain in more detail. Hana Retsu lowered her head, looking at the tea bowl on the table. her eyes fixed on the few tea leaves in the bowl. Her eyes were focused, as if caught in a distant memory. Whether it was me in the past or the me now, I am a person who loves fighting. For me, fighting is everything. Quote, but unfortunately, for someone like me, opponents are always hard to find. Thousands of years ago, I, who was finally favored by fate, met a qualified opponent. I am tired of boring battles, and therefore, I am constantly looking for enemies who can please me. Now finally, the sword in my hand attracts people who are also tired to each other. I am so happy, even if the blood is splashed, in. Speaking of this, there seemed to be a flash of light in Sister Hua's eyes, as if she had returned to that moment thousands of years ago. Back to the moment when I finally met my opponent. Hearing Sister Hua's natural and invisible pretended words, Shiraki worshipped in his heart while listening. Listen to what this says. Hearing Sister Hua's words, Shiraki knew that the master was right. Not to mention anything else, it is very necessary to learn from Sister Hua for this pretend style. The opponent that excites me is a ragged boy. Hearing this, Shiraki already knew who Sister Hua was talking about as her opponent, and also knew what Sister Hua was going to say. Team 4, Unohana Retsu is still talking about her memories. Shiraki sat in front of Unohana Retsu, listening quietly and carefully, learning how to pretend. Thousands of years ago, when I was lonely, I met someone who could be called an opponent for the first time. Looking at each other, we know that we are all the same kind of people. The battle has begun. Fighting is joyful, but there is a fatal problem, that is, our strengths are not equal. When talking about this, Sister Hua showed a sad expression. It's a pity that I seem to be the weak one. Although she pretended to be fierce, Sister Hua admitted her weakness without any grievances or difficulties. After admitting that she was the weaker side, Sister Hua continued to talk. That boy, because he was afraid of killing me, would not be able to enjoy the fun of fighting, so in order to cooperate with the weaker me, that boy unconsciously sealed his own power bit by bit. And in the years to come, I accidentally discovered that every time the boy passed by the gate of hell, he would gradually break the shackles that restrained his strength. At this point, the story is over. Unohana Retsu also picked up the tea bowl and took a sip. Little Shiraki, do you know who that boy is? Although Sister Hua lowered her head, Shiraki had a feeling that Sister Hua was paying attention to herself. I don't know, it's hard for me to imagine that there are still people in this world who can fight against you. Facing Unohana Retsu's question, Shiraki immediately pretended not to know and answered. Of course he knew who that boy was. It was Zaraki Kenpachi, the current captain of the 11th team, whose hair was even more exaggerated than that of Super Saiyan 2. But how dare he say the other party's name, because this should not be something that a new generation of Shinigami like him can know. So Shiraki immediately rejected it. I don't know. His answer was quite natural without any hesitation, but Shiraki saw Sister Hua smile meaningfully. Really? Shiraki always feels that Uno's flower language has a deep meaning. However, Shiraki didn't bother with this point. These high-ranking people like to do some mysterious things. But Captain Unohana, what does this have to do with you accepting me as your apprentice? Shiraki asked. Anakana gently refills Shiraki's tea. Because I felt so guilty after that fight that I let my opponent restrain himself for fear of not being able to enjoy the fight. I have always hoped to help that boy get rid of the shackles. But for thousands of years, my strength has already reached its limit, and I am afraid that I will not be able to reach the level of bringing life and death to that young man. But after getting to know you, Shiraki-kun, I see in you the potential to grow to be as powerful as that boy. I want to train you and let you grow to the point where you can bring him a life and death crisis, put pressure on him, let him untie all the shackles on his body, and let me relieve the guilt in my heart. After Anakana finished speaking, she looked at Shiraki. She knew that, as a time traveler, most of Shiraki's lies were useless to him. It is very likely that the other party knows something about her thousands of years ago. So if she wants to hide it from Shiraki, she must be true and false. Just like what she said just now, it is basically true. That battle was real, that boy was real, and it was also real that the other party restrained his strength to fight her. And in her heart, she really wanted to help Zaraki Kenpachi break free from the shackles. The only lie is that she didn't originally intend to let Zaraki Kenpachi break free from the shackles on her body by cultivating Shiraki. But Shiraki is a variable. As an indigenous, it is normal for her to change her behavior according to the changes brought about by the arrival of the other party. So, Unohana Retsu crafted a reason. In this way, Shiraki's information advantage will blind him instead. Well, if you are afraid, you can refuse. Unohana Retsu pushed Shiraki just in time. She knew that Shiraki would not refuse. Will the traversers who consciously have an advantage be afraid? Even if it is the captain of Yamamoto, he will not be too afraid. Sure enough, the other party agreed after a little thought. Okay, if I grow up to the level you mentioned, Captain Unohana, I will help the person Captain Unohana mentioned break free from the shackles. After agreeing, Shiraki always felt uncertain. Why does it feel like he was being manipulated by Captain Unohana? But as long as you can improve your strength and have the strength to protect yourself from Aizen, the rest doesn't matter. So, have you decided to be my apprentice, Xiaobai? Shiraki nodded affirmatively. Capricious, I'm afraid I won't be beaten. Moreover, the flower of Mao is really fragrant. Now, he already has rewards for punching in Yuyin and Unohana. As long as his strength can improve, even if Unohana has something wrong with him, he can still use his strength to reverse the situation. Shiraki thought, and took advantage of the opportunity to record his mental activities in the diary, counting the words in a wave. As soon as he recorded it, the woman who kept the diary saw it immediately. Sui Feng didn't think the matter was too big, and based on Shiraki's shady idea, he made a wave of things in the group. A lovely family. Sui Feng. Ha ha ha, yes, reverse training, is it like what I did to Master Yoruichi? I'm looking forward to it at Unohana Retsu, group leader. Just now. Rengaku. Just now. Nirvana Dream. Just now. Rukia. Master Unohana, please be gentle with Shiraki's training. Okay little Shiraki, let's start the teacher recognition ceremony. Unohana suddenly smiled and narrowed her eyes. Shiraki didn't know why, it was clear and clear outside, but it suddenly darkened. This is not a visual darkness, but a psychological feeling of darkness. Okay, but what is the method of apprenticeship? Shiraki looked at Unohana Retsu who suddenly approached him, not knowing why. I panicked for no reason. It's okay, it's very simple, I'll teach you. Unohana Retsu suddenly reached out and grabbed Shiraki's chin, and with a slight pick, Shiraki raised his head in bewilderment. Unohana is trying to teach Shiraki how to respect teachers. At this time, a voice sounded in Unohana's mind. Under the instruction of this voice, Unohana found that she could use the diary to do something. So, click, check in diary owner Shiraki, points +5. Click to cool down, countdown, 1 week. Hearing the good news coming from her mind, Anakana's mouth curled up, and she lowered her chin, which felt pretty good in her hand. Just like that, a photo was passed on to the group of family members who love each other. A lovely family. Unohana Retsu group leader photo picking Shiraki chin photo half a minute ago. Unohana Retsu group leader at all members, tune Shiraki-san who wants to commit the following crime, half a minute ago. Yoruichi. We can also take pictures. Just now. Sui Feng. What did you do to my vice captain to make him look so bad? As the captain of the 2nd Division, I ordered Shiraki to return to the team quickly and carry out the mission. Just now. Rukia. I didn't expect Shiraki-sama to have such a cute side. Just now. Yinmeng. It looks similar to Yinmeng in a daze, but there are some differences. Just now. Unohana Retsu group leader at Sui Feng. Sorry Captain Sui Feng, I still need Shiraki-san, up to date. Hehe, I'm so mad, I'm so mad. Su Feng's eyes were dull, and a lot of purple-black resentment emanated from his whole body. Isn't it just a little bit better than her, to tease Shiraki, her deputy team, so much? She wants to too. Sui Feng raised his eyebrows upside down. She also wants to play Shiraki in the applause like this. If she can also master Shiraki like Unohana Retsu. So she can also dominate Shiraki at will and threaten Yoruichi to obey her orders. Otherwise, she lets pass Shiraki's full line of sight, or something else. Make the name Yoruichi no longer appear in Shiraki's diary. At that time, Yoruichi was not a docile little female cat, let her handle it. Hee hee. Looking at the person whose chin was raised in the diary, Sui Feng hated and resented. Hate Unohana Retsu teasing Shiraki so much, blame myself for not being Unohana Retsu. There was determination in Sui Feng's eyes. She clenched her fist suddenly, and Reiatsu covered the entire 2nd Division captain's office. That guy Unohana, at least that's right. Only by being stronger and mastering the dominance of getting along with Shiraki, can you control your destiny. It's decided, try to squeeze Shiraki dry. 4th team. Shiraki shivered suddenly. What's going on? Recently he always feels that someone is plotting something bad for him. Thinking of this, Shiraki suddenly became wary. Could it be that someone is planning something bad for him? Aizen, it's not impossible. Unohana Retsu, who was seriously explaining things to Shiraki, suddenly lowered the corners of her eyes slightly. Little Shiraki, you've lost your mind. Unohana Retsu's upper and lower eyelids closed. The stench of blood seemed to permeate the room, vaguely, rushing toward his face. The blood was like a salty sea breeze, hitting Shiraki's face, making Shiraki sober. And swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He saw a cold blade resting on his neck. Any closer, and his delicate skin would be cut open. Chill in the neck, tell Shiraki. The consequence of not listening carefully to Unohana Retsu's speech is likely to be a direct hiccup. Goo. Cold sweat trickled down Shiraki's hair. Shiraki's eyeballs slid directly below, looking at the exaggeratedly curved Zanpakuto. He felt a feeling of being cut at any time on his skin. Captain Unohana, I was wrong. Shiraki's fingers rested lightly on Unohana's Zanpakuto, tentatively pushing away. It was pushed away without much effort. Fortunately, Unoka didn't intend to kill him, but just wanted to scare him. It's just that the aura is too scary. Pushing Unohana's Zanpakuto away, Shiraki finally swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Unohana Retsu is kind of scary. If other teachers don't listen to the lectures, they can at most call a parent. Unohana Retsu doesn't listen here, and will directly kill you. Little Shiraki, when I speak from now on, listen carefully. Unohana Retsu was very satisfied with Shiraki's reaction. She will definitely impress Shiraki by doing this. In the diary, write down her name, Unohana Retsu, right. She checked Shiraki's diary through consciousness, and sure enough, she found her name on it. God who just walked away for a second, why is this knife on my neck? I remember Unohana Retsu not being so domineering. Name was mentioned once. Unohana was slightly dissatisfied. Looks like Shiraki wasn't prodded enough. Now, kneel down to worship the teacher. Saying that, Unoka clapped her hands. Yang Yin, who was waiting outside the house, heard a voice coming in with tea. Looking at the expression on Sister Hua's face, the gloom just now seemed like the sun was rising and the clouds were closing, and there was no trace of it. It only gave Brother Bai a moody feeling. Shiraki couldn't figure out what Sister Hua was thinking. But he always felt that Sister Hua had other ideas in accepting him as an apprentice. Shiraki buried his doubts in his heart for the time being. Wei Wei responded, then knelt down freely. But just as his head was almost on the ground, a pair of white socks wearing clogs appeared in his vision. Quote? What are you doing now? The footsteps that suddenly appeared in front of Shiraki made Shiraki stunned, and raised his head subconsciously. Then he saw a pair of indifferent, heartless eyes full of looking down. Like a queen who rules the world. Queen with a small whip. Shiraki groaned. This low angle of view is very bad. A feeling that Sister Hua would give him a whip at any time. Get up, Unohana Retsu said flatly. Shiraki froze for a moment, then sat up on his knees, always feeling weird about his master. Little did Shiraki know, just now when Sister Hua took advantage of him kneeling down, she snapped 2 more photos at him. Facing Shiraki who doesn't know everything, I took the tea from Yuyin and offered it to Unohana Retsu. Grandma, what happened to Sister Hua today? Always feels like a second creation. But if Sister Hua could really give him a whip, that would be fine. Hey. Just as Shiraki wrote this sentence in his diary, Sister Hua stopped drinking tea. Then looked at Shiraki strangely. So, as soon as Shiraki came back to his senses, he saw Sister Hua, who looked at her inexplicably, with a hint of playfulness in her eyes. Shiraki is preparing to grow another head, thinking about whether Sister Hua is a second creation. Unohana Retsu sat on the chair, put her face on her palm, and hooked her fingers at him. Come here, little Shiraki. It seems that Shiraki prefers her ruthless, queenly appearance. Although with her character, it is doomed that she cannot gain more exposure by flattering Shiraki. But Shiraki's small request, she can still meet it. As her only disciple, as her master, she can still pamper him. In the future, if little Shiraki can behave to his satisfaction, there is no problem with a small leather whip or something. PFF'd. Shiraki almost gushed out a nosebleed. Sister Wa is like this, if she is deliberately seducing someone. Shiraki can only say that Sister Wa is too good at it. Yuji is full of style. There was a click. Shiraki sent a photo to Unohana Waretsu. By the way, Unohana Retsu, who is full of royal sister style. At this time, Shiraki still doesn't know that there is going to be an uproar in the crowd of all the girls who love each other. Sui Feng. This Shiraki. Like the little leather whip. 1 minute ago. Yoruichi. Then my maid line, doesn't it directly announce the collapse of the middle way? Let me go back to the previous route of Yuji. 1 minute ago. Nirvana Yinmeng. Yinmeng thinks that as long as Captain Shiraki is a beautiful woman, he will like it. 1 minute ago. Kusajishi Yakiru. The truth is out. Half a minute ago. Eyes Naneo. It seems that I can give it a try too. I remember that there are some Queen's Day clubs in the real world, and I am going to study them. Just now. Sui Feng. It's decided, I'll give him a whip when I come back. Up to date. Then Shiraki followed Unohana out of the room and came to the training ground. In my place, there is basically no theoretical study, only actual combat. You get used to that. Although it is a very common word and sentence, Unohana does not use special force. But the words had an aura of their own, as if thousands of cold blades were cutting their faces. Don't worry, Master is still a Grandmaster to Kaido. No matter what damage you suffer, Master can help you recover. Shiraki didn't speak. Because of him, he dared not move. Ever since he stepped into the training field, he felt that there were countless blades flying around his body. Pull one hair and move the whole body. As long as he makes any movement, those blades will penetrate him mercilessly. Teaching has already begun. By this time, Shiraki saw the tip of the iceberg of Unohana Retsu. For thousands of years, the captain of the 4th Division, whose strength has been impenetrable, is probably even more terrifying than he imagined. Shiraki's hand slowly pressed on the handle of the knife. System: receive rewards for punching Yuyin and Unohana Retsu. During this period of time, because Shiraki's strength has grown too fast, and he has acquired one or even a bunch of abilities every now and then, he has no plans to receive punch card Yuyin and Unohana Retsu rewards for the time being. Originally, Shiraki was planning to integrate the abilities he had acquired into Perfect Mastery's own abilities. Otherwise, no matter how much ability you get, you won't be able to use it well. That is also a child dancing with a big sword. But it's different now. Shiraki has a strong desire to fight roaring in his heart. A chance to play against Unohana Retsu, a top Soul Society figure. If you don't give yourself a little bit of leverage before the battle, you are looking down on yourself as a master. Moreover, this is the best time to integrate their past abilities together. Ding, unlock the Katetsu Izane reward for punching the card, and get the position of the second Zanpakuto weapon. Ding, unlock and open the Unohana Retsu reward, get a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. A second Zanpakuto. Katetsu Izane's rewards are well understood. But do I still need a weapon slot to use a second Zanpakuto? For the time being, this ability can't help Shiraki, and Shiraki doesn't have time to study it carefully. He turned his attention to the second reward. Mountain of corpses and sea of blood. Sinking a ray of meaning into the reward, Shiraki's eyes widened in excitement. This is a domain class ability. This ability has 3 effects. The first is the augmentation of the ontology. This increase is quite considerable. Within the scope of the field, his pain sensation decreased by 50%, and his reaction speed, strength, and speed increased by 50%. The second effect is Mirage Invasion. This ability can summon an illusion of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. All people with insufficient willpower will be attacked by the will of the illusion in this illusion. This is simply a group weapon. The strong will be suppressed in the illusion, and the weak will be lost directly. In addition, the scariest thing about this ability is that it is a growth-type ability. It is obvious that after Shiraki fights enemies, the more enemies he kills, the more he even wounds them. His illusions of mountains of corpses and seas of blood can grow by absorbing the blood and soul of the enemy. After growing up, all abilities will be strengthened. Both for Shiraki's body bonus, or the reality of the illusion will increase. In the end, it was even possible to turn the fiction into reality, allowing the illusion of the mountain of corpses and the sea of blood to truly descend. The third effect is to arrest the spirit. Shiraki can capture the soul and body of all the defeated. Shiraki can make these people do anything for themselves after they die. Equivalent to a loyal puppet. All three abilities are powerful. After receiving the reward for clocking in from Master, Shiraki felt relieved. Just now I thought Sister Wa was invincible. Now he felt that if he tried his best to jump, he could touch the soles of Sister Hua's feet, right? Sister Wa also felt the change in Shiraki's temperament. If we talk about the other party's momentum just now, it is reserved. It is a cheetah looking for opportunities in a calm manner. Now it directly turns into a wild beast with teeth and claws, ready to attack at any time. Moreover, Unohana was still on Shiraki, feeling the killing intent and blood. Interesting. As if there was a gust of wind, Unohana Retsu's hair spread like seaweed at the back of his head. His eyes are completely closed. A more mellow will emanated from Sister Hua's body. Little Shiraki, come on. Sister Hua slowly pulled out her own penis. She also became a little more serious. She felt that in the other party's current state, she could no longer put Zanpakuto on the other party's neck silently like before. Looking at Unohana Retsu who pulled out Zanpakuto, Shiraki felt the invisible blade around him, and the sense of threat brought to him was even stronger. But, a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Around Shiraki's body, a circle of red ripples slowly spread. With Shiraki as the center, the surrounding scenes gradually disappear. Overlaid by another world, and this new world is full of stumps and blood. All the corpses were powerless to the sky, howling silently. It seems that even if they die, they are still suffering great pain here. Unohana Retsu opened only a barely visible slit. Such an imposing attack is meaningless to Unoka, just like a spring breeze. But outside the training ground, Katetsu Azane, who stood watching the battle from a distance, had his eyes trembling and fell down in a duck-sitting position. Under Yongyun's body, there was a large push of unknown liquid. In her perspective, she is not outside the training ground. She is in an endless hell. The surroundings are full of melancholy voices, expressing their sorrow to her. Those corpses with only half of their corpses were dragging their bodies with their arms, approaching her. Just when Yongyun was about to faint, the corpses turned into blood and melted into the ground with howls. Just as Yongyun breathed a sigh of relief, suddenly, several arms stretched out from the ground around her, trying to drag her to the ground as well. Yongyun's breath stagnates. Just as she mustered up her courage, she was about to pull out Zanpakuto and cut off the arms. The next moment, endless bloody arms emerged from the ground. At a glance, the endless bloody hands are like grass seedlings, howling and struggling to grab her in this bloody world. Yongyun rolled his eyes and passed out. After an hour. Shiraki's deadly outfit has been reduced to rags. The upper body is naked. There were no scars on his body, but his face was pale. Very nice. Unohana Retsu praised with all her heart. Try to meet me next time. The words are very irritating. But this time it was a rare sincerity. Because this time, she saw in Shiraki the joy of making her fight. This disciple of his will definitely grow into her best opponent in the future. At this moment, Shiraki is no longer a point extraction machine in Sister Hua's heart. But the real, love apprentice. Is it difficult to meet Master? Shiraki challenged with freshly healed scars. His gaze is arrogant, and his will is full of arrogance. Suddenly, Shiraki shook his head. What happened to him just now? Unohana also saw that something was wrong with Shiraki, and didn't care about Shiraki. Instead, Unohana lost her terrifying aura and walked over to caress Shiraki's head. Relying on willpower, Shiraki pressed the idea of giving Unohana a knife. Calm down, it's not a fight now. Little Shiraki, this ability of yours is very powerful, but if you use it, you still have to be under the supervision of Master. He likes the way Shiraki is immersed in fighting. But a puppet who cannot control himself, is controlled by the desire to kill, and only knows how to kill, is worthless and meaningless. Shiraki shook his head again, and even made a finger-deep gash on himself before finally calming down. At this time, Shiraki found that his fingernails had already been covered with a layer of blood. The blood stretched out and turned into 5 sharp claws. With a light grab, 5 bloodstains appeared on his body. It seems that this ability requires a lot of willpower, otherwise the enemy will not be lost, but I will fall first. Little Shiraki, are you all right? At this time, a gentle hand stroked Shiraki's forehead. While feeling comfortable and moved, Shiraki also felt a little strange. Master's attitude towards himself, does it feel different from before the battle? Shiraki didn't know that after the fight just now, he was recognized by Anakana from the bottom of his heart. Rather than being used as a prop to improve strength. It's okay, Master, but I feel like there's something extra in my ability. Shiraki was puzzled. What's more in the ability? Unoka was also a little puzzled. Such a description, let alone help Shiraki. It was very difficult for her to review the questions. My ability can drag the souls of my fighters. Now I feel that there is an imprisoned soul in my illusion. In order to clarify the problem, Shiraki directly stated his abilities. He only gained the ability, and he has only fought against Unohana. He is very sure that his master is very normal and has not been affected at all. So where did this soul come from? Because of this ability, to avoid the ability to hurt himself, Shiraki must figure out this problem. Curling fingers against lips, Unohana Retsu was also confused. Suddenly, Unohana opened his eyes, and Shiraki, who raised his head at the same time, looked out of the court together. Outside the training ground, somewhere a corpse lay on the ground. His head was tilted sideways on the ground, and the exposed half of his face still showed despair. Seeing the twitching, leaving only a nervous body, Unoka hurriedly said, "Quick, can your ability be reversed?" Next, the master and apprentice were busy for a while. With Unohana's assistance, Shiraki struggled to control his bloody corpse and spit out Kotetsu Azane's soul. Almost, Yongin's soul will be swallowed by your illusion. Unohana looked at Shiraki's red eyes with a doting expression. This is an aftereffect of Shiraki's ability to cast. She remembered that Shiraki said he liked her 1,000 years ago. She also prefers bloodthirsty little Shiraki. Then, Shiraki, who was desperately trying to control himself, got another head smack. Shiraki let out a long breath and complained, "Master, why do you always touch my head? Although you are more than 1,000 years older than me. But I'm not a little kid either. What about kids like me, Hinamori Tien, and Isamu? Do you know how desperately I tried to control myself just now?" Almost, a straight punch came over. "Okay, little Shiraki, Master won't touch your head, little Shiraki is a big boy now. The flower of Mao is like a stream of kindness. Shiraki. Uno flower. Master gave you your favorite little leather whip. She likes this little apprentice very much. Therefore, if the lover has some slightly BT ideas, she can also be satisfied. Look, what is this nonsense? How long has it been my master?" That's it. Sure enough, he said that Sister Wa accepted him as an apprentice. Behind the scenes, there must be some conspiracy. Hee. Shiraki sneered, "Master, please be sure to look at me like trash when you give me a small leather whip. Otherwise it doesn't taste that good. Squinting your eyes in battle is great. Of course I don't like too bloody. Master, be gentle at that time, just a few liters of blood, I'm afraid I won't be able to take it if it's too much." Yuan, who just woke up, heard Shiraki's serious face, saying this to Unohana. Then Unohana nodded and said yes. "Yuyin, take Shiraki-kun down and take a rest." Seeing that Shiraki had used his ability twice in a row, he was a little tired, so Unohana asked Yongyin to take Shiraki down and take a rest in the 4th team. Coincidentally, she can also use this time to renovate the grocery room of the 4th team. It is convenient for the lover to come in the future. ... Hiss. "Master, it hurts. Ah, tap lightly, master, lightly." "No, this is what you asked for. Master, I can't take it anymore, just lighten up." "No, it won't work if you lighten it." In the medical room, Anakana is sitting on Shiraki's back. Anakana's 5 fingers clasped loosely on Shiraki's spine. Every second, Sister Hua's palm would pull out tiny lightning bolts. With every kneading, Shiraki felt his body electrify. Although the stamina is very comfortable, it is really difficult for Shiraki to get through the prelude. This relaxation method, once started, cannot be stopped, and must be completed in a complete set. Hana explained. Yuyin, go to that Reiatsu resonator, I'll give little Shiraki a full range of relaxation. Anakana instructed Yudo, who was blushing from the side. Yes, Captain. Taking a longing look at Shiraki's vice-captain's perfect body, Yuyin turned his head and walked away. Ah, Master, really take it easy, it's okay, it's okay. Master, I don't want it anymore. Master, let's do the math first. Captain Hana, enough is really enough, oh. Shiraki was still howling. Shiraki's eyes were watery. If I had known earlier that I shouldn't talk cheap, I would experience the thunder fire relaxation method that Master said. Through the stimulation of microcurrent and fire element, plus Kaido, the combination of the three can deeply relax the body. Isn't this a scam? If it weren't for the novelty of hearing this name, he wouldn't be fooled. Little Shiraki relaxes. This well-established massage relaxation method is very beneficial for physical recovery. Not far away, the team members and reserve players of the fourth team looked at Shiraki with envious and pitying eyes. It is a blessing to be taken care of by Sister Wa in person. But it's also unfortunate. Little Shiraki has to get used to it, otherwise how can he eat the whip in the future? Master's hands are very heavy. In the medical room, only Shiraki was left whimpering. Sui Feng, who was still peeking at the diary, raised his head in surprise. All I saw was a pale-faced person who seemed to have been sucked dry, staggering towards him. Shiraki, Sui Feng asked in surprise. She suddenly found that Shiraki's eyes were burning hot, and her gaze was burning her skin like a flame, making Sui Feng's tender body hot and her heart hot. At this moment, Shiraki had a fire burning in his heart. He was exhausted at the master's place, and he wanted to get it all back at Yoruichi and Sui Feng. Fighting with Hana, he didn't say he pinched Yoruichi with his hand. At least I am quite confident, and I will fight Yoruichi. At this moment, Shiraki's gaze was intertwined with fighting spirit and desire. Looking into Shiraki's eyes, Sui Feng suddenly realized something. Sui Feng's eyes became a little blurred. Are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. Shiraki stood up confidently. His height of 1.87 meters gave Sui Feng unprecedented pressure. Go to the nest of maggots, Sui Feng. I'm going to tame Yoruichi, that wild cat. Saying that, Shiraki approached Sui Feng's side face, and said softly beside her sensitive earlobe, at the same time, you have to get ready. Hey, hearing Shiraki's domineering speech, Sui Feng groaned, his legs went limp. It took a while for Sui Feng to get his breathing evenly, to calm down his flushed pretty face. It's just that the sparkle in her eyes is like water, but it can't go away. But if it doesn't disperse, it won't disperse. Let's go. Sui Feng propped up his still weak body, and the two quickly headed to the maggot's nest. Soon, they saw Yoruichi. Watching the two coming, Yoruichi was neither surprised nor surprised. If it wasn't for Hollow's bad use in front of people, she wouldn't even doubt that Shiraki would have fought her that day. So, Brother Shiraki, are you ready? Yoruichi raised his voice. I dare not say that I am always ready, I am not worthy, but at least at this moment, I am ready. Shiraki strolled forward. How about, Yoruichi, are you ready? Hee. Yoruichi licked his lips seductively. I have a room at the top of the Tower of Supervisors, it's quite big, you can sleep right away if you're tired. The question is, can you do it, Brother Shiraki? Yoruichi gave a provocative look. Hee, man, you can't say no. At the same time as the voice fell to the ground, Shiraki also disappeared in place. Speedster, a concept that exists in all heavens and all worlds. In Hokage, the fastest players are Namikaze Minato, 3rd generation Lei, and 4th generation Lei. In Marvel, the Speedster is Quicksilver, and DC next door to Marvel is the Flash. However, due to the particularity of the Soul Society, although the skill of chopping fists and walking away ghosts is a skill that every Shendu has to learn, the only ones that are really valuable are ghosts. Others, such as Zan Fist Walk, are exclusive to only a few strong people, and Shinigami's combat system is built with each person's Zanpakuto ability as the core, and does not particularly favor one thing. Therefore, Soul Society does not have any concept of speedsters. But today, Sui Feng feels it. I saw that Shiraki, who disappeared in place, began to circle around Yoruichi at a speed that the naked eye could not catch. The smoke and dust brought up by the footsteps billowed, gradually forming a smoke screen, blocking the sight of the outside world. As for Yoruichi, who is also a speedster, although she is still in place, her body is in a state of motion all the time. She was facing forward for a while, back for a while, and left and right after a while. At Yoruichi's extremely fast speed, after images facing the four sides appear, just like Yoruichi has four faces. In the eyes of outsiders, this scene is a bit confusing, but also a bit funny. But on the day he brought Shiraki to the maggot's nest, Sui Feng, who received a reward called Immortal Wind and Cloud Body Art, and his own speed entered the ranks of extreme speedsters, knew that this was a battle of speed. Sleep. Shiraki tries to escape Yoruichi's capture with his own speed. However, this is too difficult. One is circling, the other is turning around. But anyone who has run or driven before knows that the curve cannot run fast. Sui Feng knows Yoruichi's speed, why would Baiyan choose such a way? After a stalemate for a while, Yoruichi said, "Give it up, Shiraki, your speed is really outrageous. In terms of pure speed, you may even surpass me. But it's impossible for you to escape my gaze." Indeed, Sui Feng nodded, she also felt the same way. But it's a pity that Shiraki didn't think so, he just said indifferently, "Is that so?" Immediately afterwards, Shiraki started to circle around Yoruichi, and then directly opened a whole card. Call the Dharma for 7 days, start. While running, Shiraki's breathing increased suddenly. A large number of spiritual particles mixed with oxygen are poured into the lungs, just like high-quality aviation fuel is poured into the engine of a supersonic fighter. A huge amount of energy is injected into the body, and the air is highly compressed around Shiraki's body to form a barrier, and then as he crashed away. Boom 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 boom. Continuous sonic booms explode. Under Sui Feng's surprised eyes, Shiraki appeared in front of Yoruichi in an instant with a speed she didn't realize. Facing Yoruichi, Shiraki put one hand on the ground, and kicked Yoruichi from bottom to top. Boom, G's dull blowing sound came. Surprisingly, the blow that Sui Feng didn't react to at all, Yoruichi actually caught it instantly. Not only that, but Yoruichi crossed his hands and even clamped Shiraki's calf in reverse. Through the narrow gap between his hands and chest, Yoruichi looked at the remaining Shiraki. Hey, a body technique I've never seen before. Guess, if I don't defend against this blow, there will be a set of combos waiting for me in the future, right? Yoruichi commented. To be honest, for Shinigami, floating is not helpless. Whether it is Kido or Reiatsu outbreak, it can relieve the predicament. However, your combo technique, which aims to make people float in the air, although somewhat limited, is also quite interesting. What is this move called? Shadow Leaf Dancer. Shiraki replied curtly. Also, this trick is not over yet. Shiraki slapped the ground heavily with one palm, and then kicked upwards with the remaining foot. A hard kick broke Yoruichi's restrained Shiraki's hands. Then, just as Yoruichi was about to react, Shiraki, who was completely liberated, kicked up with both feet. Shiraki's forceful transformation makes time can only be blocked by haste. Under the constant heavy kicks, her feet gradually left the ground, and her body floated upwards. But at the moment, Yoruichi couldn't care about the body that kept going up, she just looked at Shiraki who was still kicking in shock. How is this possible? What kind of move is this? He was clearly kicking the knight with his head down, but Shiraki ignored Newton's third law that the effects of forces are mutual. No matter how hard Shiraki kicks, Shiraki's body still rises with Yoruichi's ascent, maintaining a position where he can kick her up. And watching this scene, not only Yoruichi, Sui Feng as a bystander was also very puzzled. She could clearly see that underneath Shiraki, there was nothing supporting him. So, she couldn't figure it out even more. How did Shiraki do this? It's so contrary to common sense. However, clearly sensing the confusion of the two women, Shiraki just smiled slightly. I didn't expect that. It's right, I'll show you a little shock of Shaoli today. After about the same height, Shiraki kicked Yoruichi one last time, sending her into the air again, but her figure also slowly deflected from being perpendicular to the ground to facing the sky, parallel to the ground. But this time, Newton, who may be in the West End Bureau, finally discovered that someone in the East End Bureau was kicking his coffin board, and Newton activated the long-arm jurisdiction to make the third law take effect. Under the counterforce, Shiraki is ejected rapidly downward from the sky. But that's exactly what Shiraki wants. Boom! The moment Shiraki landed, a huge circular crater burst open on the yellow-brown ground. Like a rocket going off into space, Shiraki appeared behind Yoruichi. Turning his head sideways, Yoruichi looked at Shiraki, with a cynical smile still on his face. Even if it's in the air, it's not so easy to get close to me, or are you going to invite me to dance a tango? Shiraki smiled back, and at the same time stretched out his hand, grabbing Yoruichi's waist. That's right, it's tango, do you want to come? Crack! Yoruichi grabbed Shiraki's hand on her waist. I hate it, it's not a gentleman's action to reach out before the lady says yes. Is that so? But how did I hear that it's the right time for the lady to say no to it? Shiraki smiled slightly, and gently pushed the hand on Yoruichi's waist, pushing Yoruichi's body out of balance. Lion combo, start, spinning in the air, making full use of the reaction force of the body collision, Shiraki and Yoruichi started a round of fighting in the lightning. Even though he was on his back and lost the opportunity because of Shiraki's weird body skills, Shin Yoruichi's white hits level was still fully displayed in the melee combat. With a set of lion combos, Shiraki not only did not cause any damage to Yoruichi, but was almost caught by Yoruichi, reversing the current decline. And with the last punch, Shiraki was successfully captured by Yoruichi, and his weak and boneless body wrapped Shiraki tightly like a spirit snake. Looking at Shiraki, who was strangled by her and locked his arms in front of his chest, Yoruichi smiled excitedly when he met his opponent, General, Brother Shiraki. Really? Shiraki struggled to make a sound, twisted his head, and enjoyed the feeling of wave door. Unfortunately, the time is up, otherwise I would like to enjoy it more. Listening to Shiraki's words, Yi suddenly realized something was wrong. At this moment, she found out in astonishment that she and Shiraki had started to fall at some point, hitting the ground straight. And she herself, in the process of falling, because of restraining Shiraki, surpassed Shiraki's head by a full half of her body. No, I got caught. Yoruichi reacted. Shiraki knew that his hand-to-hand combat was not as good as Yoruichi's, but he forced a set of lion combos, in order to blur Yoruichi's control of the falling time. Because he doesn't have the confidence to catch a man in the air. In that case, let Yoruichi catch him. What a willing and bold plan, Brother Shiraki. Knowing where his mistake was, Yoruichi exclaimed, you won this wave of confrontation. With that said, Yoruichi was about to let go. But the other hand grabbed Yoruichi's waist from the other side, and Wuji was tightened like iron tongs. Shiraki, you want to leave after offending the abbot? Yoruichi struggled to break free. However, Shiraki grabbed her right hand, as if it was stuck to her waist, and remained motionless. At this time Yoruichi got a glimpse of another detail, that is why Shiraki's fist is left-handed instead of right-handed. And because of this, Bo was caught by her so easily. But it is a pity, even if such details are recalled, so what? Looking at the ground getting closer and closer to him, Yoruichi's pupils gradually dilated. The two people who were entangled in the sky hit the ground with their heads down. Like a comet hitting the earth, the violent vibration can be felt even by Sui Feng not far away. Thick yellow smoke flashes away. Seeing the battlefield where his vision was completely blocked, Sui Feng couldn't help but take 2 steps forward. What happened? Did Shiraki succeed in that blow? Did Yoruichi escape in the end? All kinds of questions echoed in Sui Feng's heart. However, she didn't wait long, and a figure with a question jumped out of the smoke. Ba, 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 ba. After stopping calling for 7 days, Shiraki kept spitting the dust into his mouth. The air you breathe is not only air but also smoke. Shiraki complained. Looks like it needs to be optimized. It's just that now is not the time to think about it. Shiraki stretched out his right hand in front of him, spreading his palm out, looking at the black fabric in his hand. Shiraki's expression was very amazed. It's outrageous. As expected of Shihuan's secret footwork, can any skew be able to activate it? Of course. Yoruichi's voice came from the smoke. How inconvenient is the stealth footwork, cough cough cough. A final cough interrupted Yoruichi's pretend brush. Someone in the smoke waved his arms heavily, the thick smoke seemed to be cut open by a knife, his body was scratched, and the corners of his mouth were bleeding. A very embarrassed Yoruichi appeared in front of Shiraki. Yoruichi got hurt despite talking about stealth footwork being such an inconvenience. Her stealthy footwork just avoided the moment when her head directly hit the ground. Looking at Shiraki, Yoruichi smiled wryly. What a ruthless martial art. However, my judgment is correct. Your taijutsu can only be used in the Soul Society, because the soul in the Soul Society can't go empty. If this is the real world, your taijutsu will be invalid. Ah, yes, 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 yes. Seeing the little kitty who was still talking hard, Shiraki laughed. Ask for flowers. It doesn't matter if you speak hard, he will soften her up. Shiraki looked at Yoruichi, and at the same time, Yoruichi looked at Shiraki. Looking at each other, the two understood each other's meaning, and Yoruichi's eyes gradually became serious. Even if her strength has improved before, it is similar to Shiraki after Shikai. After all, the physical differences between men and women must be considered. But Shiraki has the secret method that can strengthen the body, and the normal strength is obviously stronger than him. If that's the case, then she has to raise her cards. Fortunately, at this time, a ray of breeze blows gently, blowing up some Shufeng sand and blinding the eyes. In the next second, instant coax. The tyrannical Reiatsu explodes and twists into lightning. With an explosive charge, Yoruichi was in front of Shiraki in an instant. As if to retaliate against Shiraki's previous attack, Yoruichi's 5 fingers became claws, and he scratched his lower abdomen fiercely. Hey, you can't touch it here. Looking at the naughty kitten, Shiraki thought, and a breeze appeared out of thin air. Ding! Yoruichi's thunderous claws suddenly stopped in the void 3 inches in front of Shiraki's lower abdomen. The sharp claws rubbed against something unknown, and brilliant sparks appeared. What? Yoruichi looked at the void in front of Shiraki's lower abdomen in shock. At the place where Thunder's sharp claws touched, the disguise of the wind was broken, and the blade of the 8-faced Han sword reflected a little glare under the light of thunder. Yoruichi jumped back after a few moments. After losing the obstacle of the thunder claw, the sword body that was revealed just now is hidden again. Seeing nothing but the void of something in her intuition, Yoruichi was shocked. Invisible Zanpakuto. That's why you never wear a knife. That's right. Shiraki grasped the slender Hajiju, swung it forward lightly, and the gale wind wrapped around the sword fluttered forward as the Wind King's hammer. This is the ability that Shiraki's vice captain got on the day of his inauguration ceremony, Wind King Barrier. After the Wind King's enchantment dissipated, the 8-faced Han sword with a length of 1.6 meters completely appeared in front of everyone. Then, in front of Yoruichi, Shiraki took Hachiku into his body again, and said nonsense. Not only can it be invisible, but it can also be absorbed into the body, and then summoned at will. This is my Zanpakuto ability. It turned out to be like this. Hearing Shiraki's words, Yi and Sui Feng were shocked. Shiraki's abilities remind them of a madman fused with Zanpakuto from years ago. But I have to say that this kind of ability is simply the nemesis of people like them who use white hits as their main fighting style. How can you fight? Yoruichi complained. She uses white hits as the main fighting method, and does not encourage the enemy to use swords, but Shiraki's ability is tricky because he is not a sword, but can be summoned at any time, and has invisibility. Ability. Although Yoruichi is also confident that she can react, it is Manzo who is afraid of this kind of thing. However, with such ability, I have to say that it is really suitable for the second team. Yoruichi praised. Here, I have to talk about a certain one. At this point, Yoruichi stopped talking. But why doesn't Shiraki know who Yoruichi is talking about? Ha ha ha, you are talking about Sui Feng's Bankai, right? Shikai is still a top assassin like the second-level killer, and Bankai becomes a missile like Jakuho Reikoben. Not to mention the huge momentum, you can only hit one shot, and after one shot, you will exhaust all your strength. During the Millennium Bloody Battle, the Invisible Empire stole Bankai, the Old Man Bankai was cut in half, Chojiro Sasaki Bankai was stolen and penetrated on the spot, and Byakuya Kuchiki almost. Sashimi cut by Senbon Sakura Jing Yan. But only Sui Feng, the presence or absence of Bankai does not affect her combat power at all. It can be said that the Invisible Empire does not want to steal Bankai. Shang sneered severely. Looking at Shiraki's diary, Sui Feng didn't expect them to hit her, and suddenly AoE hit her, and it was a critical hit. As the captain of the second team, why doesn't she want a solution with a lower profile? But isn't it? Yin is not allowed in the second. On the contrary, with Shiraki's personality, even Bankai should be relatively low-key, right? Sui Feng bit the handkerchief enviously. She decided that if Shiraki succeeds today, she will wait for Yoruichi and Shiraki to play a round first, and then she will go again after she is exhausted. Then the two fight together. Humiliate them severely. See if they dare to laugh at themselves in the future. However, at this time, the two people in the field did not know that a certain bee outside the field had already thought about collecting honey later. After teasing Sui Feng a few words, the two returned their attention to the field. Looking at Shiraki, Yoruichi's expression gradually became serious. Shiraki's Zanpakuto days overcome her in this melee. If that's the case, don't fight melee. The thunder on Yoruichi's smooth back became raging. Something more powerful brewed beneath her placid face. The next moment, Yoruichi's Reiatsu shocks. In an instant, thunder and lightning flashed, and silver snakes danced wildly. Dazzling light erupted centered on Yoruichi. Boom boom, underscore. The powerful Reiatsu condensed into lightning, constantly hitting the surrounding land. And in the very center of the lightning, Yoruichi, with a mad smile, controls the berserk lightning converging 6. In the end, the violent thunder and lightning formed the horns of the god of thunder on Yoruichi's head, and the back was condensed by lightning to form 6 thunder hooks surrounded by circles. Instant Coax Thunder God Battle Form. Yoruichi excitedly said the name of this move. My Zanpakuto is not like any of yours, it has no fighting power. Rather than Zanpakuto for combat, it is better to say that it is a piece of equipment in the concept of online games in the present world, which can only increase its own effect. That's why I was able to develop Instant Coax to such an extent. Yoruichi asked proudly. How about it, my Shunju? Very good. Shiraki nodded, not stingy with praise. In his view, instant coaxing is divided into 4 stages. In the first stage, the white hits powerhouse feels the weakness of the fists and feet, upgrades the white hits to instant coaxing, and assists the fists and feet with a high concentration of Kido Reiatsu. In the second stage, the white hits powerhouse experienced the uncontrollability of the irritable and instant coaxing, and endowed it with some attributes that are more suitable for him. In the second stage, instant coaxing is fully mature, and it is a technology that can rival Bankai. Therefore, starting from the third stage, it is the in-depth development of Shunhong. Once here, everyone's instant coaxing will go to a different route. Sui Feng is Infinity Instant, Yoruichi is Thunder God, and Yushiro is Bakuyan Warriors. But Yoruichi's Thor battle form is not so much the third stage. Shiraki would like to call Yoruichi's Thor battle form the 4.0B stage. Because Yoruichi is the most completed one in the third stage. Her instant coax has nature and form, and it can also attack from a distance. It is completely separated from the essence created by instant coax, and has become a mature and all-round move. High completeness, so that she can be said to be the instant coaxing of the fourth stage, but it is the B version of the fourth stage. This is the true embodiment of Night talent. And since Yoruichi skipped the normal instant after the probing blow, Shiraki didn't hide it either. Instant coax, infinite instant coax. The wind wraps around the arms, and the speed and power of ultimate are injected into the body. The instant reappearance of the previous battle with Sui Feng. Coming. Seeing Shiraki's gesture, Sui Feng retreated 100 meters silently. She knows that the next battle will not be able to watch the battle at close range 19. And watching Shiraki's instant coaxing, Yoruichi was also very excited. Oh, you have also reached this stage. Very good, is the attribute wind. I just don't know which is faster, my thunder or your wind. Saying that, Yi, hands up and one hand down, posing a Kamehei Qigong wave, but with both hands open. Following her chirp, the thunder rumbled, and a series of thunderbolts struck Shiraki from the moon wheel behind Yoruichi. But at this time, obviously Shiraki is fast after all. Infinite instant coaxing around the body, Shiraki took a deep breath, and the 7-day exhalation was activated again, and sufficient oxygen and spiritual particles were transported from the lungs to the limbs and bones. Under the sufficient energy supply, Shiraki's skin is congested, and he has entered a rapid operation mode. Turning into a gust of wind, Shiraki drifted towards Yoruichi, and the swift thunder and lightning seemed so slow at Shiraki's speed at the moment. Gently leaning over lightning, Shiraki kept walking and continued to approach. Is it faster? Looking at Shiraki, who was attacking like lightning, Yoruichi's eyes flashed, and his hands were pulled from top to bottom. In an instant, from behind Yoruichi, there was no longer a straight line of thunder, but a ring of resistance composed of thunder exploded. Seeing the lightning network sweeping towards him, Shiraki took off high, like a gymnast, performing an elegant 360-degree turn in the air. However, at the moment when Shiraki was about to cross the ring of resistance sweeping horizontally suddenly pulled apart like the laser beams of the laser channel, interweaving into a web. Got it. The piercing electric shock sounded, and Shiraki, who was jumping high, was caught by this thunder net, like a fish being shocked by electric shock in a lake. But Shiraki is not a weak fish, and Yoruichi's net is not a modern fishing net made of high-strength nylon and wire. Boom! Shiraki's body was blasted by the emergency wind, turning into a windshield to isolate the thunder and lightning from him. Then, the net and the fish wrestled with high intensity, and finally ended with the fish successfully breaking free. It's just that the fish's escape is not without cost. There is hemp. Feeling the funa-nu sensation coming from his body, Shiraki smacked his lips and looked at Yoruichi quite unexpectedly. I didn't expect ye, a fist player, to have such micro-manipulation ability. Hey, surprise, I'm surprised too. Looking at Shiraki's expression, Yoruichi knew what he was going to say. It's just a breakthrough, don't make such a fuss. Of course, it's hard to say whether this breakthrough was just before the battle or a few days ago. So Shiraki chose the right time, because with the existence of the points mall, the strength of the girls will only become higher and higher. Of course it will not be as fast as Shiraki, but if Shiraki is already stronger than Shiraki and is still improving, Shiraki will not be able to catch up if he wants to catch up. And since Shiraki was caught by a trick, it's time to take advantage of the victory and pursue it. Before Shiraki could relieve the numbness from the electric shock, Yoruichi opened his hand again. Drink. 6 paths thunderbolts shot out from the 6-hooked jade, and surrounded Shiraki from 6 directions with a gesture of a net. As soon as the violent thunder and lightning passed by, the earth was whipped to pieces by the overflowing electric arc, bursts of rubble cracked, and scars spread all over the place. Logically speaking, with Yoruichi's fine control power, there will be no such problem, and all power should be restrained. But when such a situation occurs, it means that this is a full blow that will determine the outcome. If this hit misses, Yoruichi will be in trouble next time. Sui Feng murmured. Then, she looked at Shiraki, who was targeted by 6 paths thunder, and wanted to see what Shiraki would choose to do. However, in the face of Yoruichi's attack, Shiraki did not dodge or evade. Have you given up? Sui Feng couldn't help but said. But immediately she shook her head again. No, how could you give up? So what exactly is he trying to do? Defensive counterattack. Sui Feng looked at Shiraki more carefully. Looking at Shiraki's current appearance, Yoruichi and Sui Feng also thought of going together. It should be a defensive counterattack. However, it is impossible for me not to guard against you. Yoruichi's muscles are tense, and he is ready for any move at any time. However, both Yoruichi and Sui Feng only guessed that Shiraki was going to defend and counterattack, but did not expect how he would defend and counterattack. In fact, what Shiraki wants is not to defend the counterattack. Instead, rebound. Facing the thunder of Yoruichi's lore, Shiraki once again revealed a whole card. Reflection of 8 mirror swords. The ability obtained from Nanao Eyes allows Shiraki Tien to borrow the reflection ability of the 8 mirror sword once. But the most buggy is not this. The most buggy is that Shiraki's reflection has no conditions for use. It is a reflection that can reflect all types of attacks. A moment later, 6 paths thunder is here. Shiraki was overwhelmed by the flashing thunder for a moment. Then Yoruichi and Sui Feng were shocked to find that the 6 paths lightning light not only did not cause any damage to Shiraki, but turned around and rushed towards their owners the moment they touched Shiraki. Exclamation mark. Bounced. But, why? Looking at the bounced attack, Yoruichi couldn't understand. But it was just a momentary doubt and hesitation. Under the speed of her own lightning, it was magnified to become impossible to dodge. Facing the thunder and lightning attacking him, the hasty Yoruichi could only make a reluctant defensive posture. But at the moment when her movements took shape, the lightning that flew out from her hooked jade wheel climbed onto her body again. Yua! Yoruichi's painful moans echoed in the wide maggots under the severe electric shock. A drop of unknown liquid dripped from the lightning, and was evaporated by the lightning in the next second. Seeing this, a trace of heartache flashed in Shiraki's eyes, thinking whether he had acted a little harder. But after thinking about it, Shiraki passed the hurdle in his heart. The pain now is for the pleasure later, and the pain is only temporary. Besides, Shiraki's current Kaido is not bad, and it's not bad to be able to give Yoruichi the cure of love with his own hands. The fleeting thoughts vanished in an instant. Shiraki let go of his worries and looked back at Yoruichi ahead. At this moment, under the violent electric shock, Yoruichi's own Thunder God battle form could no longer be maintained, and she herself fell to the ground with smoke all over her body, her mouth closed and her eyes closed. From the outside, Shiraki can't see any injuries. After all, Yoruichi's skin is naturally dark. In order to see Yoruichi's injury, Shiraki steps closer. However, just when he was about to ask, Yoruichi, who had opened her mouth and closed her eyes just now, opened her eyes suddenly, and her golden vertical pupils were filled with shining lightning. And the Thunder God's horns and hook jade thunder wheel that just disappeared in the Thunder God's battle shape also appeared instantly, showing unprecedented brightness. And the flashes of the blue thunder continued to increase. It's like a light bulb has been injected with too much current. Shiraki murmured. As we all know, if the power is too high, even the best quality light bulb will explode. The moment Shiraki's words hit the ground, the horn thunder wheel behind Yoruichi and above his head exploded. And Yoruichi also poses to Shiraki in the same pose at the beginning, which is a bit like releasing waves. But this time, it's true. After the horn thunder wheel exploded, all the thunder in Yoruichi was poured into the Democratic Party. A brontosaurus with full beard, tail, scales and armor roared out from Yoruichi's hand. Ah! The sound of dragon and thunder shook all directions, and the ferocious brontosaurus opened its dragon kiss full of fangs, vowing to gnaw off a layer of skin on Shiraki's body. Swipe, swipe. Facing the brontosaurus, Shiraki subconsciously started to dodge, but this time, just as Yoruichi was shocked by Shiraki's reflection because of the lack of intelligence, he didn't dodge. Shiraki, too, was unable to dodge due to an accident. So this time Yoruichi's lightning fell faster. Except for a little distance initially, Shiraki was overtaken by the surging brontosaurus. Boom, boom. The endless instant coaxing that erupted competed with the tyrannical brontosaurus. Infinity Shun released his greatest efforts to blow the thunder away. However, how can the dragon riding the clouds be blown away by the wind? After being blocked for a while, the brontosaur biting Shiraki tightly exploded, turning into a thunder pool and submerging Shiraki. In the flashing thunder, Shiraki can't be seen. Then came Yoruichi's slightly tired voice. In Kido, there is an advanced technique called anti-ghost killing, which basically means using Kido of the same quality and star as the opponent to destroy the opponent's Kido. It's just that many people don't know that there is another advanced step above the anti-ghost killing. Two ghosts knock on the door. That is, when the opponent uses Kido, you use the Kido of the same quality, same attribute, and same number as the opponent, and then defeat the opponent's Kido core with exquisite manipulation. In this way, you can use the opponent's Kido power for your own use and double the attack. However, this technique is too harsh, too difficult, and too limited, almost to the point of being lost. If I hadn't been bored flipping through books at home that time, I wouldn't have known this technique. Originally, I couldn't do it, because I couldn't accurately find the Kido core of the opponent in the collision of Kido. But who would have thought, Shiraki, that you would be able to bounce my own mind back? After a long narration, Yoruichi took a breath and sighed. Shiraki, you are not wrong. So it is. Listening to Yoruichi's narration, Sui Feng also understood what happened. Her eyes quivered slightly, and she was also quite surprised by this technique. But right now, there are obviously things that deserve her more attention. Looking nervously at the field, Sui Feng spoke out with concern. Shiraki, isn't something like this going to happen? Of course not. In the arena, Yi shook his head helplessly when he heard a small sound coming from not far away. If I had known it earlier, I would have been more serious, so I wouldn't be a scumbag. A wave of playing off. Not only the girls are caring about others, but also thinking about how to themselves with Biren all day long. However, how could it be so easy to kiss her? Yoruichi gave a smirk, and said leisurely, no accident, but the injury must be serious. Today probably won't work, Yoruichi judged, because if the existence of Shiraki is compared to a torch, then the current Shiraki is a torch that consumes more than half of its fuel. Burning 503 is ignited and cannot be extinguished, but it is certain that it will not be as bright as before. After speaking, Yoruichi turned around and prepared to go to the Tower of Supervision to replenish some food and speed up his recovery. But just after taking a small step, Yoruichi suddenly stopped, and the expression of turning around confidently froze on his face. From behind Yoruichi, Shiraki's faint voice came, "Man, how can it be impossible? Yoruichi, the battle is over, I haven't tamed you wildcat yet, where do you want to go?" Yoruichi looked back in shock. Then she saw Shiraki, who was covered in scorched black, with many cracks and bleeding on his body surface. His body surface injuries recovered quickly, and then the scars peeled off automatically, and his skin changed from black to white, just like time has flown back. This is Shiraki's super fast regeneration. Yoruichi lost his voice. How do you have something like that? You know, ultra high-speed regeneration has always been a life-saving miracle that only Vasto Lord level Manos Grande has. It is because of this that Hueco Mundo has been able to maintain a decent amount of Vasto Lord throughout all these years of long-term hunting. Don't talk about the balance of the three realms. Third order balance, yes balance. As long as there is always a balance, why does the Soul Society keep so many Vasto Lord level Manos Grande who can only pose a threat to them? In just a moment, Shiraki's rather serious injury was repaired under the effect of super high-speed regeneration. In Yoruichi's perception, Shiraki's feeling has returned to the level of rising like a wolf's smoke, straight to the sky. This is too cunning, how do you fight? Yoruichi put on a pain mask. Seeing himself working so hard, and even being forced to embarrassingly play a wave of advantages, he turned into a cloud under Beishu's ultra high-speed regeneration. Even if it's night, time can't stand it anymore. And looking at Yoruichi, Shiraki was very curious. Just now I saw you dripping water, so I want to ask, is that water serious? Quote. Yoruichi's face darkened. What made her face turn black even more was that Sui Feng also looked at her with burning eyes. A few words were written brightly on that pretty face, I'm curious. No, Yoruichi broke the defense. I'm a ninja. A ninja only uses a weak method to show the enemy. Of course, it's serious. If I hadn't thought of such a method, how could it be possible for Zhao Cheng to achieve such a result? So I'm even more curious. Shiraki didn't give Yoruichi a chance to change the subject. What kind of water is the water that just dripped and evaporated? No one will be incontinent. No. Shiraki continued to torture. Under Shiraki's continued torture, the Night King. It's just an electric current, of course she won't be incontinent. But the other source can't admit it either. It looks like she's like something. Although it is true that some. But it doesn't matter. Admitting that there are problems with both, under the intense sense of contradiction, Yoruichi's brain will explode. If so, don't worry about it. Yoruichi strikes a provocative pose on all fours. In the nest of maggots, the deafening thunder reappeared. On Yoruichi's raised buttocks, a dancing silver snake reappears. The silver snake that changes 48 in a second flickers without a fixed shape. So Yoruichi pushes again. Drink. The lightning that turned from pure blue to white began to cover Yoruichi's hands, feet, chest, and lower abdomen on the ground. Under Yoruichi's exquisite control, the violent thunder and lightning are like silk threads, weaving a pair of white long gloves and long stockings on her hands and feet. Then a pure white bikini tube top was woven on the chest, facing the fruit of midsummer. In just an instant, Yoruichi's body changed into pure white clothes. Coupled with her naturally brown skin, an adjective for cats appeared in Shiraki's heart. Dark clouds stepping on snow. The whole body is black, and the feet and hands are pure white. Isn't this the same as dark clouds and snow? Shiraki was a little funny for a moment. But Yoruichi, who was engrossed, did not have his leisurely mind. At the final stage of this move, Yoruichi forcibly stopped the move and said to Shiraki, "Shiraki, this move is my last strength. In the next state, I will lose my mind and act entirely on emotion like a cat. Fortunately, with my current situation, this state won't last long, but it's still very dangerous. If you don't have Bankai, or a deeper instant coaxing, it's best not to face me in this state. So, what's your decision?" Shiraki, Yoruichi asked with some difficulty. However, even though he asked like this, what Yoruichi revealed in his eyes was anticipation. Because her move is completely uncontrollable, and no one can control it, she can only use tricks, so when she created it, she never improved it. If Shiraki can really overpower her, that's a good thing for Yoruichi too. And looking at Yoruichi, Shiraki's answer is the same as always. "Man, how can you say no? Very good." Looking at the confident Shiraki, Yoruichi laughed. Then, her expression changed, and the process that had just been suspended continued to run. The white gloves and stockings on Yoruichi's hands and feet are deformed again at this moment, and cat's animal claws appear on Yoruichi's hands and feet. At the same time, the silver snake on the buttocks condensed and turned into a cat's tail, and the electric light on the top of the head spread and turned into cat's ears. Half human, half cat Yoruichi appears in front of the two. And this is Yoruichi's final trick. Shunlong Thunder Beast Battle Form Katakana Middle dot Shunlong Black Cat Battle Princess. With the last remaining sanity, Yoruichi spoke the words of the move nouns. Then, a literal cat appeared in front of the two of them. A pair of curious eyes looked around. At this moment, Yoruichi, no matter his expression or thoughts, has turned into a cat. But even cats still remember their enemies. Watching Shiraki, the Yoruichi cat poses in a cat hunting pose. She fell on the ground, crawling forward, her footsteps were silent, as if she was about to pounce forward at any moment. Looking at Yoruichi like this, endless pressure also came to Shiraki. This is the pressure he has never felt before. Why the previous Thor battle form can only be turned into instant coax 4.0b by Shiraki. It is because before it, there is a 4.0a that is more in line with the original purpose of instant hex and is more threatening. Although he lost his mind, Yoruichi also managed to compress all the instant lightning into his body, turning it into the purest physical enhancement. This trick is not so much using insanity, it's better to say that Yoruichi's entire CPU is fully occupied by the running of this trick, so he can only act on instinct. "Shiraki, be careful," Sui Feng, who was watching the battle, couldn't help shouting. If she is just a little bee, even if she stings someone, it will be uncomfortable for a while at most. So the current Yoruichi is said to be a cat, but it is actually a fierce tiger, and the hive will be gone with one bite. However, Shiraki's expression changed after hearing Sui Feng's words. Sure enough, the moment Sui Feng's words sounded, the Yoruichi cat turned around nimbly and ran backwards. "You disturbed Yoruichi cat. Sui Feng, get out of the way." Shiraki chased after him at the fastest speed. However, the night cat came to Sui Feng in an instant. Boom! Sui Feng, who didn't respond, was thrown down by the Yoruichi cat, and his mouth fell down. Seeing this scene, Shiraki's eyes were tearing apart. However, the anger in his eyes only lasted for a moment before it turned into weirdness. Because at this time, after throwing Sui Feng down, Mao Mao didn't do anything, but kept arching Sui Feng's pretty face with her small head, making her smile a little. "Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, Master Yoruichi, it's so itchy, let me go." Call. Shiraki let out a long sigh of relief, and his steps eased. It seems that even if Yoruichi loses his mind, he can still identify friend or foe. After all, she was just demented, not amnesia. However, the moment Shiraki stopped, Yoruichi Maomaochao's expression changed from an angle he couldn't see. Yoruichi, who was still licking Sui Feng just now, turned his head and rushed towards Shiraki at great speed. And this time, it's not the kind of coquettish pounce. Broken. Seeing Yoruichi rushing towards him, Shiraki's expression changed suddenly. He never imagined that one day cats would play tricks, and he really did it. But until now, it was too late to be upset. Shiraki's eyes were fixed, and another whole card was revealed. Frozen Cloud. A cloud of extremely cold air spreads out from Shiraki as the center. It was just released, but the speed of the freezing air cloud was not slow, and it just enveloped the pounced Yoruichi cat in an instant. Under the effect of ice, Yoruichi's movement slows down. At the same time, Shiraki's figure was covered by the frozen cloud, and Yoruichi Mau, who had lost his target, had to stop for a while and proceed with caution. It's just that Shiraki wanted this effect. Cooperate with Dong Yun's whole card and make another move. Magic number 75 Gatling Crown. A word Yoruichi has never heard before resounds. Mau can't help but look left and right, looking for the direction of the sound and the possible attack. But the next attack did not come from Yoruichi Mau's front, back, left, or any direction. So, instinctively, Yoruichi Pussycat raised its head. In the sky, the gold crown composed of several golden swords fell down. Bang 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 bang. A muffled sound sounded, and the huge golden light long sword with Yoruichi as the center of the circle was heavily inserted into the soil around her, forming a gold prison. Meow. Seeing the golden sword enclosing her here, Yoruichi let out a shrill meow. Then, she put all her strength into her limbs, and her vigorous body flew out like a cannonball. She was afraid of losing one of the golden long swords. The sharp cat's claw collided with the hard golden sword. Boom! The collision between the cat's claw and the long sword sent out a piercing bell. At the same time, at the place where the cat's claw touched the golden light sword, a shock wave burst into the crown. Meow. Unexpectedly swept by this shock wave, Yoruichi Mau felt his body go limp, and the strength in his body dissipated a lot, and his numb footsteps all over his body softened. Shaking a few more times, the previous injury was triggered, and Yoruichi Mau directly chose to lie down and rest. That leisurely posture, as if Yoruichi is not in Shiraki's confinement, but in his own courtyard. Looking at Yoruichi like this, Shiraki couldn't help praising. As expected of a cat who acts on instinct, he easily found the flaw in this move. His style of Kido, or magic, was something he signed up for yesterday, from the Zisao Bureau, and as the favorite of a certain girl version of Byakuya. Therefore, the number 75 magic, the Gatling Crown, can also be understood as a large 6-branch light prison. It's just that the Gatling Crown is much stronger than the 6-stick light prison. The crown composed of lightsabers can shoot out gold lightsabers one by one and use it as a sharp weapon. It can even form a prison as it is now, restraining the people inside. Not only that, if the person inside attacks the golden sword can even reverberate a shock wave, breaking up the strength of the attacker with the force of the vibration. In the Qishao Bureau, such magic can even restrain a dragon, let alone Yoruichi, a cat. It's just that when Gatling's crown forms a prison, it's like a shield of light. People inside can't get out, but people outside can't get in. It's an absolute isolation between inside and outside. So simply starting to rest like Yoruichi is the correct solution. But Shiraki himself doesn't care about that either. Because his Kido was originally meant to delay time. Facing Yoruichi, Shiraki began to seal his hands awkwardly. His movements also aroused Yoruichi's curiosity. Yoruichi Mau stared at Shiraki with wide eyes, wondering what he was doing. After a while, Shiraki finally made all the seals he needed. It's so numb, why is there such an anti-human thing like not seal? Isn't the speech eloquent? Shiraki complained. Forget it, just use it. Shiraki took a deep breath. The breath was so long that it not only puffed up Shiraki's entire upper body, but even stretched out his cheeks and chin like a toad's neck. Then, after the pressure in his body reached the limit, Shiraki exhaled heavily. But at this time, what comes out is not air, but a huge amount of water. That's exactly what some honest guy from Hokage ninjas did to fame. Water style. Who will fix the dam? Boom, boom. An extremely large water mass envelops the prison formed by the entire Gatling Crown. Meow meow meow. Looking at the water outside the prison, Yoruichi Mau obviously panicked. After all, we all know that cats are most afraid of water. Looking at the water prison that wrapped her up, Yoruichi Mau turned around anxiously. She meows at the crown's gold lightsaber, as if to say hold on to me. However, no matter how much Yoruichi Mau hates the water, Shiraki is definitely for her in today's bath. When the time is right, the prison of Gatling's crown disappears, and at the same time, a huge amount of water pours in from all directions. Meow, meow meow meow. Yoruichi frantically dodges Shiraki's water blast. However, the inescapable water catches Yoruichi before she can escape. Boom! The giant water sphere closed, and Yoruichi cat was imprisoned in it. She pawed her 4 feet in the water in panic, trying to float up. But at this time Shiraki has already leaned over. He didn't go into fight like Kanshi Kisame. Yoruichi is an electric cat, he can discharge electricity, he still understands this. So, Shiraki just held out his hand in front of the giant water ball. Part of expansion jutsu. The superstar's Reiatsu consumes, forms a giant arm through the water polo, and keeps catching the struggling Yoruichi cat in the water polo. Yoruichi Mau panicked as he watched the huge palm being grabbed towards him. Billy Billy. The continuous discharge sound is transmitted in the water. A powerful electric current passes through Shiraki palm, but at any time, it is hooliganism to talk about the effect without talking about the dosage. Compared with the size of Shiraki's palm, Yoruichi's power discharge at this time is not worth mentioning. What's more, Shiraki has super high-speed regeneration. Enduring the pain caused by the electric current, Shiraki's huge palm firmly caught the fish Yoruichi. Being squeezed by the huge palm, a strong sense of powerlessness and panic came to his heart, and Yoruichi struggled more violently. But because of this, the oxygen in the body was consumed at a high speed, and a state called dizziness began to take effect on Yoruichi. Seeing this, Shiraki stepped up again. His huge palm clenched slightly. Gulululu. The air in Yoruichi's chest was squeezed out by Shiraki, and Yoruichi, who couldn't catch him, even choked on several saliva. And if we say that Yoruichi had a sense of rebellion before. However, when the sense of suffocation, fear, and other negative feelings came, Yoruichi Mau, who acts entirely on emotion, completely lost his control. Not even capable of instinctively manipulating thunder and lightning, Yoruichi just struggled with his brutal physical strength. I have to say, just like a fish caught ashore, it will struggle with all its might, so does Yoruichi. Under her violent struggle, Shiraki let go of his hands for a while, and Madoka released her from the hospital. Finding himself out of the hands of the big villain, Yoruichi Mau swims up in surprise. However, the simple Yoruichi cats don't know that when fishing, they can't be tough when facing the fish in the water. The best way is to wrestle with it for a while, then let it out again, let it relax, and then tighten it again. After many reciprocations, the strength of the fish will naturally be exhausted, and it is time to draw the net. So Yoruichi Mau saw it, and grabbed the huge palm that had just been freed not long ago, and grabbed it again. What's worse is that there is not much oxygen left in her body at the moment. Why do I feel that Yoruichi is weaker than before when he becomes this form? I don't know. When he came to Shiraki's side, Sui Feng looked at Yoruichi in the water polo and said, "It's not a feeling, it is." Shiraki replied, "A cat is a great enemy to mice, birds, and even creatures of the same size that are smaller than it, and it is a top hunter. But for humans who can seduce with food, deceive with catnip, and sneak attack with traps, cats are cute pets, raccoon slaves." The same goes for Yoruichi. She is very strong, but she is too disturbed by emotions and instincts in this form. Shiraki concluded. For example, when she was surrounded by Gatling's crown at the beginning, she should break through with all her strength, instead of thinking that she can take the opportunity to rest. It is taboo to fight on the battlefield preset by him, Liu Wang Hao. This is just a magic number 75th, even if it has such a small function, how can it stop her? Shiraki said, and looked at Yoruichi, who was still in the water polo at the moment, broke free from him again, and was still upstream. Without wisdom, I don't know when to fight and when not to fight. When fear hits my heart, I forget how to save myself. My thoughts are dominated by my body, and I can't think about the status quo. Quote, Yoruichi, it has indeed become weaker. Shiraki said flatly. She never noticed that the appearance of the prison has changed. Sui Feng was silent. With Yoruichi's physical fitness, even if the dog leaves a water polo, it won't take too long. But her thinking is too rigid. She only knows how to float up instinctively, but she doesn't see the real shape of this water polo at all. As a matter of fact, Shiraki's big water burst has long since turned into an upright ellipse. The surface of the lake that Yoruichi wants is always moving up with her floating. Because at this time, a brand new number 75 magic, such as the crown of Trin, has been inserted under the blast wave. Like a folded five-finger mountain, the Gatling crown supports the continuous rise of the water polo. And after one capture and one strike again, Yoruichi was unable to exhale his last breath, and the white light on his body completely disappeared. Looking at the completely unconscious Yoruichi, Shiraki exhaled, "It's over." The huge palm grabbed Yoruichi, and water style was lifted naturally. The partial doubling technique that lasted for a while began to shrink, the clothes were destroyed by lightning, and the naked Yoruichi was brought in front of Shiraki. Catching Yoruichi's delicate body, which was still covered with water, Shiraki's hand was dyed with Kaido's green light, and he caressed Yoruichi's smooth and supple back. Whoa! Yoruichi started spitting water at the dam who repaired Harry. And at this moment, Shiraki finally realized that he defeated Yoruichi. This also means, Shiraki looked at Sui Feng aside. Sui Feng lowered his head shyly. Shiraki suddenly remembered. Yoruichi said she has a room in the tower of the superintendent, so, Elbow, come in. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.